Good afternoon to all. We will be moving on to next session, a session on revisiting telepsychiatry, translating guidelines into practice.
We welcome our Honorable Chairpersons, Dr. Avudepan, Sir, Professor of Psychiatry, Mahatma Gandhi Medical College, Pondicherry, and Dr. Pradeep Palaniappan, Sir, Professor of Psychiatry, PhD Institute of Medical Science and Research, Coimbatore.
Let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Preethi Ma'am, Consultant Psychiatrist, Madurai.
Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the post-lunch session 1. So for the post-lunch session, we have an excellent topic and an excellent speaker. Dr. Preethi, she's based in Madurai and she did her MBBS and MD from Madurai Medical College. And she's a child psychiatrist who had worked under Dr. Jayantini ma'am, and she did her certificate course in child psychiatry from NIMHANS. She also started her 10-bedded child guidance clinic and center in 2016, and at present she's guiding more than 1,000 children for various developmental disorders and other disorders, child-related disorders. She has given lectures in national, state-level programs and more than 200 schools and colleges in and around Madurai, and she is also training regularly her interns from social work, psychology department and nursing who are posted to her hospital, and she has, to her credit, she has received the Best Social Activist Award in 2013 and Best Doctor Award from Dr. TMS Seva Sangam in 2018, and Appreciation Award from Bench of Magistrate Child Welfare Committee, Madurai Bench in 2019. She has also got the Best Poster Award in TANSICON 2022, and she has co-authored a chapter on fertility trauma in the textbook Gender Trauma for in 2024. I welcome her for a presentation today.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the kind words, sir. Respected people on the dais and off the dais, a very good afternoon to one and all. I'm Dr. Preethi. So, on show of hands, can I see who are all practicing telepsychiatry on a regular basis? Good. Yes. Thank you. So, telepsychiatry. We got introduced to telepsychiatry from the period of COVID. So from then on, I am also regularly into using telepsychiatry. Today I am going to talk about guidelines into practice. So we feel that telepsychiatry is very convenient because we can see them very quickly, we can prescribe them, and it's easy. But we forget what all we should document and what are the drugs that can be prescribed and what are the consent that needs to be taken. So we'll be dealing about that today. Thank you. Telepsychiatry Operational Guidelines of India. So this is the roadmap of ethical and legal online mental health care practice. So it is formed during 2020, during the COVID period. We know about NIMANS, so they formed the guidelines along with the Telepsychiatric Society of India. So where this guidelines comes from, it comes from the Telemedicine Practice Guidelines, Mental Health Care Act 2017 and National Laws and Ethics, which are all prevailing in our country. This guidelines this textbook has 8 chapters. So each chapter is important, but it is vast. So I will try to convey which is very important for our day-to-day practice. First, I will start with the question. For a psychiatrist to practice telepsychiatry in India, their name must appear in State Council Register only, National Medical Register maintained by the NMC, the local hospital register, none of the above. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can show your hands like that. Any idea? 2. You told 2. Yes. So, but this word NMC is not very familiar to us. So I browsed the net. So I put my name in that and I got, yes, it is there. Actually, all the state medical council, they give it to the NMC. So all our names are there in the NMC. So this is the first criteria which says that we can practice telemedicine in India. Can a psychiatrist in India provide telepsychiatric consultation to a patient residing outside of India? 1, yes, freely. 2, no, it is not covered under Indian telepsychiatric guidelines. 3, only with permission from NMC, only in emergencies. 2, yes. No, it is not covered under telepsychiatric guidelines. So, next question. Which of the following best describes the scope of telepsychiatry in India? Only follow-up consultations are allowed. Only emergencies can be managed online. Both first and follow-up consultations are allowed with proper consent. Only counseling sessions are allowed. 3. Good. Yes. First and follow-up consultations are allowed with proper consent. So first chapter tells about whom we are going to see. That is about the legality and scope of telepsychiatry. Next, we are coming to the important chapter of advertisement and social media. So, because we are all into the social media accounts, we feel like putting ourselves or telling about our patients. This patient got improved at such treatment. All this is not advisable in advertisement and social media chapter. So, we should know what are the ethical boundaries. We have to maintain professional standards in all online communications and marketing materials. So, social media use must align with the medical ethics and patient confidentiality requirements. So, there should be responsible marketing. We should avoid misleading claims and ensure all advertisement comply with the medical council regulations. So, what is that? If we see that, only we can display our name, our degree, then consultation mode, whether it is online, offline, our contact details, and we can share the educational part, awareness part we can do. And also the telemedicine platform, it is allowed. What is not allowed in advertisement is patient solicitation or exaggerated claims, guarantee cure, best psychiatrist, testimonials, reviews, all these are not allowed. In social media, we can put awareness posts, general information, mental health education videos, clinic updates with disclaimers that I'm going for a leave for this period to this period, so I will not be available, or I'm changing to offline to online consultation. All this is allowed. Social media guidelines not allowed is discussing specific patient cases, sharing identified patient data, and giving personalized advice via comments or DMs. Testimonials and reviews. Requesting or promoting testimonial is unethical. Voluntary public reviews should be highlighted. Always maintain confidentiality. Legal and ethical risk. Action by NMC and State Medical Council can happen. So we should always be aware of this and IT Violation Act for data breach and damage to professional credibility. Always you have to use disclaimers on social media posts. Next, we are coming to the very important thing, technology requirement. So when we think, should I purchase very good software for this, or I should have a costly laptop, soundproof room, all this. But guideline says that no, it is not needed. So you can do teleconsultation over phone also. But when you are doing it regularly, it is ideal to have a laptop, a good internet connection, at least 2 connections, one Wi-Fi and one is a wired one, which they, in case of electricity problems. And software standard, HIPAA compliant platforms. Do you think WhatsApp is HIPAA compliant? Anybody? No, though it is end-to-end encrypted, the data breach commonly occurs because anyone can access your WhatsApp account. So it is not compliant. So they say to avoid it. But in case, if patient is comfortable only with WhatsApp, that is easy, so you can use. Physical chamber, it should be quiet, private space with professional background, ensuring patient confidentiality and comfort. When you are using offline and online consultation, it can occur in the same room also. Also, you should see the Wi-Fi, up to what limit the Wi-Fi is getting connected. You have to arrange your chamber in such a way. Next important thing is the consent. So this we usually forget because when a patient enters our clinic, we are seeing the patient, we are getting their address, everything. We collect their address proof also. But when during online consultation, if a patient himself initiates a consultation, then it means that it is implicit consent. Doctor, I want consultation for myself. So in that case, we have to record that patient initiated the consultation. So implicit consultation, document. We have to document it. What is explicit consultation? Consent is when psychiatrists, we initiate, or the hospital staff, because it is due, they have to get, they want their medications, they had asked, so, or their caregiver had asked, patient had not asked. In that case, we have to ask the caregiver to give a consent, either through WhatsApp, and we can take a photocopy and record it in the case sheet. So, clear and informed agreement by the patient before starting telepsychiatric consultation. Patient must understand the nature, purpose and limitations. If it is explicit or implicit, both should be documented in the case sheet. So it can be written or verbal, it can be a voice message or text-based message. So all is valid with signature. So this is the example of the written consent. I, name of the patient, age, residing at, want to consult doctor through telepsychiatry, specifying video mode, audio or text mode. I understand the limitations, all these things, and they have to sign it. We usually give it as a photo and they will write and they will sign, and we take the photo back and we have the electronic medical records. We save it into that. A patient who had a psychiatric consultation with you asks for a record. A, 1 should not provide telepsychiatry records. 2, 48 hours. 3, 72 hours. 4, 1 week. Good. Yes. This is the right of the patient. So, we are coming to the important chapter of medical records. So, how to document and how to secure it and what are the patient rights. So, maintaining comprehensive records of all consultations is a must and it should be protected. So, what should be recorded? This is the very, very important slide. So, we have to write the patient identification details. If it is a first consultation, we have to ask for their Aadhaar. And we have to write the last 4 numbers. And the face matches with the Aadhaar, we have to see. Because we don't know for what reasons the patient is consulting. Does he have any other problems with the law? All that we are not aware. So we have to ask for it in the first consult. If the patient is visited in person and we can recognize them, okay, that is not needed. So date and time of consultation, video, audio or text. Then is it implicit or explicit consent that we have to note. Clinical notes, history, diagnosis, advice, prescription, follow-up plan and our signature. So how to ensure data security in teleconsultation? So it should be encrypted, licensed platform for video calls. Usually Zoom calls are best. And I use the electronic medical platform, so it allows video conferencing. So that is still more easy for us. And it also gives, we have stored all these consent forms in that, so it's very easy. We will not miss out anything. Avoid open or public apps like WhatsApp, Instagram for official documentation. Regularly update software and use antivirus protection. Maintain confidential storage of chat logs, prescription and notes. Implement two-factor authentication and strong passwords. So the same thing, if we are using if you are writing on a paper, we have to scan the copies and we have to store it. Minimum of 3 years is recommended. So we have to back up regularly. Access and sharing, only the patient or an authorized representative can access. In case of a child, where the child cannot give the consent, the father can be the authorized representative. They can ask for the record. Recently, one child I had seen, he had autism spectrum disorder. They moved to US and they asked for the record. So I have to get the consent from them, written consent, then we gave our records. Sharing with third parties requires explicit contents. Ensure patient identity verification before sharing. So what are the rights? So the rights is they have the right to obtain the copy of medical records within 72 hours and we can charge them for that, and they must be made informed about the purpose of the consultation, how the data is collected, where it is stored and who will have access to it. And I will see to that my staffs don't have access to all the patients. So we have different access form and they will have, they will just go into how to put them into the schedule or queue. They can add patients to the queue, but they cannot go into and view the case sheets. So additional patient rights is when we give the record to them, they can request for correction and we can correct it and we can store it. If there is any data leak or if it is lost, we have to inform them promptly. Next will be the consultation flow. So pre-consultation, always it is advisable to do teleconsultations in a appointment basis. Don't do it emergency basis because we will miss certain things. So we have to schedule the appointment. The first pre-consultation work will be done by the staff people. They will verify the identity, they obtain the informed consent and review the medical history. During consultation, we have to first we have to see is whether the patient knows that he is consulting. That is the consent. He has the, whether he consents for the telepsychiatric consultation. If it is absent, we will be asking the caretaker. If they have, if any advance directive is there, we should ask for it. Or if he is the nominated representative, in case of psychosis, we have to take it from them. Post-consultation, we have to provide the treatment plan, prescriptions as per guidelines, and follow-up schedules and share records. So this is the consent form. Not consent form, this is the reporting form which the psychiatrist does. So this is the reporting form of a telepsychotherapy session. So what all the psychotherapies that are followed and what is the next treatment plan, all are discussed in this. Teletriage is nothing but we are seeing which is important. Whether they require video consultation or audio consultation or text consultation or whether they have to come and meet in person. So that is the teletriage category. So this is about the patient where a the attender has come in telepsychiatry. He has initiated the consultation. In that case, we have to receive the explicit consent that I am so and so, father of this patient. I have initiated telepsychiatry. The patient is not willing to attend, but he is under my care, and I want prescriptions and medications for him. We have to get the consent. So everywhere we have to get the consent document to be safe. Triage means prioritizing patients based on urgency and severity of their condition. It is done via phone, video or text, and it helps decide whether immediate in-person care or teleconsultation is appropriate. So what are the red flags? Suicidal thoughts or behavior, severe agitation or aggression, catatonia, homicidal ideation or violence, confusional states or delirium, acute intoxication or withdrawal symptoms. These are the red flags, so we have to avoid. So during emergency, advise in-person consultation or local hospital admission. Non-emergency, proceed to telepsychiatric consultation. When doubtful, we can ask our head of the institution if he is there for decision. Now we are coming to the important medication list, which is very, very useful. So over-the-counter medications, which can be prescribed during any visit, that doesn't need any, that has no limitations. These are the vitamins, basic supplements. So it can be done by any mode of consultation. It can be audio, video or text. So during first consultation also it can be done, or follow-up consultation. There is no restriction for it. Then comes the list A. It is very important. So list A. So this is during first consultation for list A, video recording, video consultation is must. So what are the drugs coming in list A is which are safe and which are well established psychotropic with low abuse potential. These are the drugs. So safely we can prescribe fluoxetine, escitalopram, imipramine, antipsychotics, risperidone, olanzapine, haloperidol, mood stabilizers, valproate, lithium, carbamazepine, THP. Then clonazepam and clobazam has been added recently. So this is for first consultation or any consultation. Then comes the list B medicines. This is prohibited. These drugs are not used during first consultation. Because first consultation we are going with safe drugs which are very essential, which can safely we can prescribe. Next consultation we want some add-ons. So a person feels that I am drowsy in the daytime, so we are prescribing modafinil, that group of drugs. So this comes under list B. So it is given only in follow-up or post in-person consultation. So up to what the patient is considered as first consultation and follow-up consultation is up to 6 months after the first consultation, he can be called as follow-up consultations. If after 6 months, again if he consults, then that is called first consultation. So we have to go in that order. So most of the medicines come under this. Antipsychotics, aripiprazole, quetiapine, clozapine, ziprasidone. So you can see all drugs. Anti-craving, anti-dementia, anti-ADHD, atomoxetine, clonidine and modafinil. Mood stabilizers, oxcarbazepine, lamotrigine and divalproex. So all these drugs, most of the drugs come under list B. So when we know about list A drugs and list C drugs, then all other drugs are list B. That can be given only in the follow-up consultation and not in the first consultation. So key differences between A and B is list A, either it can be first or follow-up. List B, follow-up only. Purpose is we are starting a consultation, so safely we are going. Next is add-on regimen. Examples, SSRI, olanzapine, valproate. Next is mirtazapine, clozapine, zolpidem in list B. Requires diagnosis. Always we should have a diagnosis on record. At least a provisional diagnosis should be there. So what are the prohibited medicines? This brings us problems. So amphetamine. So me practicing child psychiatry, I use more of methylphenidate, but during online consultations, it is prohibited. And most benzodiazepines, apart from clonazepam and clobazam, other all, that too clonazepam for a limited period of time, less than 3 weeks, and more than that we cannot prescribe. So in first consultation, it is, first and follow-up consultation, these drugs are prohibited. So these are the medicines. So list O medicines, any mode we can prescribe, no conditions. List A, video is mandatory. Follow up in any mode. Even text they can be consulted. List B, first consultation is prohibited. Follow up any mode. List C, prohibited in first follow up and cannot prescribe online at all. We have to be very, very careful. Telepsychotherapy. So a psychiatrist conducts a telepsychotherapy session with the patient. Soon after the session, the patient dies by suicide. Will the psychiatrist be held responsible? Anybody? So, what is the thing is, duty of care exists once consultation begins. Psychiatrist is not automatically liable for patient suicide, but liability arises only if negligence of or breach of duty can be proven. So what is that is, there was no suicide risk assessment and ignoring warning signs and no emergency referral or documentation. So this had happened earlier. So from that this was formed. So psychotherapy consultation, patient will say, I don't want medicines, but they'll be more depressed, all that. So we have to always document and assess the suicide risk. So protection for psychiatrists is proper risk assessment and clear documentation, safety planning and emergency contact provided. Even last week I got a student, he is consulting via telepsychiatry, he is undergoing consultation. He had suicidal thoughts, but not, that is not severe enough. But this, if all this fails, then I must think I should better end my life. So immediately I recorded in the case sheet that he harbors this, but he did not consent for letting his family members to know that, because that will add more stress to him. And he promised that he will be in touch frequently, and also I informed to consult in person, because he was from Chennai. I referred another doctor, you go and have a consult. All this was documented because the suicidal risk was not very imminent. So this was done. When liability may arise, gross negligence or lack of reasonable care, immediate records or absence of consent, and inappropriate prescription or casual advice. Liability depends on proof of negligence, not the outcome alone. So I'm coming to the last part. What are the final takeaways? So we have to properly plan. One day I will be doing a telepsychiatric consultation. So appointment-based consultation, and verify patient identity, verify the medicines, whether it is O, A, B, C, document everything, and refer emergencies. Very simple. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
I think most of our psychiatrists who are prescribing medicines in a surreptitious way. It happens almost every day. Some of the patients who are paranoid, and we mix the medicines, we ask the family members to give it. And in telepsychiatry, we do proxy consultation and proxy prescriptions. Though we document it, when the patient is not consenting for it, is it valid? That too, when a patient is violent, sitting at home, we record it, but legal implications are there. If the patient goes for it, I've been given this. And,
okay.
I have been given this particular tablet by this doctor, and my father has given this. So what are the legal implications for proxy consultation, proxy prescription, surreptitious way of prescribing medications? Do we need to get the authorization letter? How to get it from a paranoid or manic patients? Because only for those patients, family members are approaching us. Sometimes even in the first consultation, family members are coming and getting the medicines, mixing it in the food, patient is recovering. But even for 5-10 consultations, patient doesn't come and meet us. So that becomes an issue. Though we document everything, but is it okay to prescribe?
Yes, sir. So as far as guidelines says that this should not be done, but we are being doctors, we see this is the only way the patient can be saved. But what can be done is we can say them, right, you give this medicine, but we should not give them the prescription. But that is also not true. They will be giving, or you bring the patient, just once you bring the patient, we will just see the patient, and or once he improves, you bring the patient. Sometimes patient comes to the clinic in the first consultation, and we should be sure enough that he is a paranoid patient. Anytime he would lose his mind. So we should take the consent, because it will save us also and the family members also. Because next time in the consent, he will, for first consultation, they will give their signature. Yes, I will consent for this time. Apra paathukalam. So that can save us. So that can be done. Otherwise, when he gains insight, it has happened also. It has happened.
You said about giving the records in 72 hours. What are the records? Total transcript?
No, sir. No, sir. That is the
Because
thing.
our privacy should also be maintained.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Restricted.
sir. This is the thing which I showed in this 1 minute. This is the therapy or counseling. This is for telepsychotherapy, therapy or counseling reporting form. So it is there for not for telepsychotherapy, but also for telepsychiatry also. Same like this, but it is there in 3 pages, so I didn't put it. So what it says is we have to identify the patient and what are the objectives of the session, what we discussed, and what are the key areas they need counseling. So what are the therapy techniques used and all that, plan for the next session. This is for, and you can get it from telepsychiatry guidelines, freely available. All the consent forms, what we should record. And some also write that this fees was collected from them, because some may say you charged more. Everything can be recorded and we can get their signature. So it is there. 5 pages or it's freely downloadable.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Myself, Dr. Gopinath. Thank you for the wonderful insights. I have 2 questions here. So there has been some patients who have been treated by us, but unfortunately they move abroad, but they still wish to continue with us. And I have one patient who has settled in Canada, but thing is like she's maintaining well on lithium. Every 6 months she does the serum lithium and sends the reports to me. I don't prescribe, but I give a recommendation because she visits her own GP there and she gets the medicines there. So based on this level, this is the dosage that she should continue. So I just give a recommendation alone in my digital prescription. I want to know like whether this is ethical,
yes,
right?
Sir, this is ethical, sir.
Yeah.
This is it. We can guide them because we know the patient, we have their records, so we can guide them.
Okay. And one more thing, ma'am. Some patients prefer to fly to India, take the consultation, and probably like they want to take medication for certain duration of period and they go back. In the meantime, in between, if they land up in some crisis, very trivial crisis, and they reach out to us, should we entertain that or how to go about it?
We should not entertain. Actually, what the guideline says, only in Indian jurisdiction only we are responsible. And when they are away from us, they have to, it is their responsibility. So we can counsel them, we can help them how to go about and reach, or we can say so and so got consultation with me, we can ease the process, but we should not give medicines or when the family member comes, proxy consultation. All this is not advised in this guidelines.
Okay, if there is need some adjustment in the existing medication what we have prescribed earlier, even then it is not recommended, ma'am?
Over teleconsultation.
No, he has visited me in person. I have
Okay.
prescribed medications.
Okay.
There needs some slight adjustment in the existing medications.
Okay. The thing is, when he flies away from our duty ends there. It is only said in.
It is not recommended according to. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Vikas from Chennai. Thank you for that wonderful presentation, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I have two questions. One is you mentioned HIPAA. As far as I know, HIPAA is American insurance law to maintain. Do we have any Indian laws?
Okay, Indian laws, I also checked in the guidelines. No, that HIPAA is not mentioned in the guidelines. But I searched because to be safe on our part, whether I'm using WhatsApp also, though I'm using the other, it has lot of breaches, so that is not advisable. So what is that HIPAA can be used? That is a safe thing. But our guideline doesn't say so. We can use WhatsApp, which is not HPA compliant. Yes.
The second question was, in the medicine guidelines, they say valproate can be prescribed and carbamazepine can be prescribed.
Yes.
But you can't prescribe oxcarbazepine or divalproate.
Yes.
What is the rationale between this?
No, I don't know. It is there in the guidelines.
I just wanted to see
yes.
if others had some insight into it. Thank you.
Haloperidol in the first consultation advised. Yes, it's there. Yes.
Can a minor initiate a teleconsultation?
Good question, sir. So minor, okay. I see. Less than 12 years, the parents usually come for consultation. Yes, a minor can come for consultation. Yes, he can initiate. Yes, but he has to give that. For myself, I want some guidance. I don't want to disclose it to my parents. It is there. So in the previous, Dr. Janaki was telling that headspace and other thing where adolescent, they themselves go to the place or they can, that is the thing, they have to be primary prevention, they have to be helped. So we can do.
Since we are in a medical college, we have this borderline group of 17 to 18, that age group. When they are initiating a consultation, that becomes a huge confusion. Whether we can prescribe drugs to them without parental consent, or is it limited only to the therapy level?
Therapy level. Only many things can be done in the therapy level. So they can consult. Yes.
One doubt which I had is we say about the consent. Do we have provisions to assess capacity to consent in the teleconsultation?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
The reason why I'm asking is, it's the first consult starts with consenting to the teleconsultation. So even before we see a patient, consent form is requested.
Yes.
My question is whether it is a valid way of getting a consent, whether that will be legally okay. And second is, I wanted to know if, let's say, the person may be coming for 6 months on a teleconsult, let's say 20 times we have seen. So one-time consult, is it valid for 6 months? How long? Or when we have to revise and again retake the consent? Any?
Yes, good questions. So from the telepsychiatric guidelines, when the first consultation in telepsychiatry, you see a paranoid patient is there and the caretaker initiates the consultation. Then we have to ask the client, patient, that do you know this is a consultation? Do you feel comfortable talking about your problems to me? So this is capacity assessment. If the person cannot do it, then we have to tell them you have to come for in-person consultation. No, if they say no, but if they have a advance directive. See, already this patient has already written and given to me. So I can give you that, then we can have it and we can proceed with the telepsychiatric consult. If that is also not there, nominated representative, we have to see that. So if nothing works, then we have to abort the telepsychiatric consultation. Some form of the document should be there with us. to do a telepsychiatric consultation. Second one was about how long? Yes. One first consultation, then up to 6 months it is follow-up consultation. During the follow-up consultations, it can be without video, it can be audio or text-based consultations, and we can issue prescriptions. They can collect it outside. If they have skipped medications, if they have come after 6 months, that should be considered first consultation. Again, newly they have started with video consultation, all the consent, everything. Right.
Thank you, ma'am, for your impactful presentation. Now we request chairpersons to honor the speaker.
Now we request Dr. P.P. Kannan sir, Professor of Psychiatry, Institute of Mental Health, Kilpak, to honor Dr. Avudappan sir. Now we request Dr. Bhuneshwaran sir, Associate Professor and Head of the Department, Kanyakumari Medical College, to honor Dr. Pradeep Palaniyappan sir.
Thank you, sir and ma'am. Now let's move on to the next session, Rewiring the Mind, Financial Independence for Psychiatrists. We welcome our Honorable Chairpersons, Dr. N. Balasubramaniam sir, Associate Professor and HOD in charge of Psychiatric Department, Namakkal Medical College, and Dr. V.P. Navanithan sir, Senior Assistant Professor of Psychiatry, Government Erode Medical College and Hospital.
Let's invite our speaker, Dr. Jothilingam sir, Consultant Pediatrician and Neonatologist at Sri Jyothi Hospital, Erode.
Good afternoon to everyone present here. I'm very happy to chair this session with Dr. Navanithan. So, actually, this is the rewiring the mind. About the topic is about financial independence. So, rewiring the mind, it is going to change this talk, going to change our thought patterns and emotions and ultimately behavioral patterns about the financial management. I hope he will be sharing insights on financial management, helping us to understand the practical approaches. So, Dr. Jothilingam sir is going to deliver a lecture. Sir is a fellow in neonatology, consultant pediatrician and neonatologist in Sri Jyothi Hospital, Erode, and he is a president IAP, Erode 2025. He has received a State Active Pediatrician Award in 2024, and he is a TMP graduate. There is a famous platform about WealthCon. So he is this TMP is one of the course. He is currently a senior guide in that WealthCon Foundation. He is going to enlighten us on financial management. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. At the outset, I would like to thank Indian Psychiatric Society, Dr. Sadanand, Dr. Jayanthan, and all the office bearers for this opportunity. So, today, after discussing about the patient since morning, we'll move to the portfolios. Rewiring the mind, pathway to financial independence. This is the topic we are going to discuss. I'm Dr. Jothilingam. So, what is WealthCon? WealthCon is a financial education drive created by Dr. Ram sir is a radiologist based at Mumbai. He has taught finance to nearly 1 lakh doctors in India. 5 years back, there were only 2 graduates in Erode. At present, there are about 150 graduates in Erode, and all over Tamil Nadu, there are about 1,000 graduates. So, WealthCon is an educational platform. It doesn't provide financial advisory services or sell any financial products. It is a practical oriented, useful for investing purpose. Speaker is a doctor, not a SEBI registered advisor. This is the disclaimer you have to know. So why are we here today? To learn finance in a systematic way and manage money in life, to begin journey of financial education, to become self-reliant in making the financial decision, to begin the journey of investing and wealth creation. What not to do? Never outsource your financial decisions. In case you are never supposed to outsource finance or romance. I don't have to tell the psychiatrist what will be the outcome if you outsource these 2 things. Never invest in unregulated and fancy products. Never invest on tips, intraday, stop loss trading, SATA. SATA is nothing but gambling. Never expect more than 30%. Don't go by fancy ideas of getting 100% return in the market. Never transfer funds to unknown person to avoid frauds and scams. Never borrow money to invest in stock market. Never buy ignorance plans. Ignorance பிளான்னா என்ன? நம்ம எல்லாருமே ignorance plans வச்சுருப்போம். ஆனால் அது நம்மளுக்கு தெரியாது ignorance பிளான்ஸ்னு. எல்லாமே most of us will be loaded with LIC. அதில் இன்சூரன்ஸு இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டு ரெண்டுன்னு சொல்லி கொடுப்பாங்க. பட் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எப்படி ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் தான் வரும். அதை தான் நம்ம ignorance பாலிசின்னு சொல்கிறோம். ஈவன் யூலிப் ஆல்சோ அதுவும் ignorance பாலிசி தான். மணி கேரண்டின்னு சொன்னாங்கன்னா அந்த ஸ்கீமில் நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணாதீங்க. ஏன்னா தட் இஸ்னா ignorance பாலிசி. எல்ஐசியெல்லாம் எங்கே இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணதுன்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க? ஈவன் தே ஆல்சோ இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் த ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட். நெவர் இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் MLM ஸ்கீம்ஸ் அண்ட் த ஸ்கீம் ப்ரொபோஸ்டு பை யுவர் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் ரிலேட்டிவ்ஸ். ஈமுகோலி நிறைய இது நம்ம ஊரில் ரொம்ப ஃபேமஸாக இருக்குது ஆல் ஓவர் தமிழ்நாடு. நெவர் இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் திஸ் பான்சி ஸ்கீம்ஸ். நெவர் ஹேட் வெல்தி பீப்புள். சரி, நம்ம என்ன செய்யக்கூடாதுன்னு பார்த்துட்டோம். இப்போ மித்ஸ் ஆஃப் மணியை பற்றி பார்ப்போம். மணி இஸ் நாட் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். மணி இஸ் த ரூட் காஸ் ஆஃப் ஈவில். மணி ஈவில் கிடையாது, மனுஷன்தான் ஈவில். ஏன் இது ஈவில்னு சொல்கிறோம்? அந்த காலத்துலேருந்தே சினிமாவில் சொல்லியிருக்காங்க. எம்ஜிஆர், சிவாஜி, ரஜினி எல்லாம் ஏழையாக இருப்பான், நல்லவனாக இருப்பான். நம்பியார், அசோகன் எல்லாம் பணக்காரனாக இருப்பான், கெட்டவனாக இருப்பான். அதனால் நம்ம என்ன நினச்சிக்கிறோம்? எல்லாரும் என்ன நினச்சிக்கிறாங்க? பணம் வச்சிருக்கிறவன்லாம் கெட்டவன், பணம் இல்லாதவன் தான் நல்லவன் அப்படின்னு. ஸோ மணி இஸ் நாட் ஈவில், இட்ஸ் த பீப்புள் ஹூ ஆர் ஈவில். மணி டசன்ட் பை ஹாப்பினஸ். பணம் சந்தோஷத்தை கொடுக்காது. ஆனால் பணம் இல்லாமல் யார் சந்தோஷமாக இருக்கிறாங்கன்னு சொல்லுங்கள்? ஒருத்தர் சந்தோஷமாக இருக்க முடியாது. ஃபைனான்ஸ் இஸ் டிஃபிகல்ட், இட் இஸ் நாட் மை கப் ஆஃப் டீ. ஐ எம் பிஸி அண்ட் ஐ டோன்ட் ஹவ் டைம். இது ரொம்ப காமனாக டாக்டர்ஸ் யூஸ் பண்ணுவோம். அப்பா நான் ரொம்ப பிஸி, என்னால் எல்லாம் மேனேஜ் பண்ண முடியாது. அப்போ நம்ம என்ன சொல்கிறோம் ஏஜென்ட்டை? நான் முட்டாள்ப்பா, என்னால் ஃபைனான்ஸ் மேனேஜ் பண்ண முடியாது, என் பணத்தை நீ வச்சுக்கோ, என்ன வேணாலும் பண்ணிக்கோ. அதை தான் நம்ம சொல்கிறோம். வாட் இஸ் மணி? ஸோ மிட்ஸ் ஆஃப் மணி பார்த்துட்டோம். மணி இஸ் நத்திங் பட் a measure to exchange the value. ஏன்ஷியன் டேஸில் என்ன பண்ணாங்க? அந்த பொருள் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் பண்ணுறதுக்காக மணியை யூஸ் பண்ணாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் காயின்ஸு, ராஜா முத்திரை போட்டு ஒரு காயின் பிரிண்ட் பண்ணாங்க. மாடர்ன் டேஸில் நம்ம we have this note. கோயிங் ஃபார்வர்ட் ஃபியூச்சரில் இட்ஸ் கோயிங் டு பி ஒன்லி டிஜிட்டல் மணி. ஸோ டிரான்சாக்ஷனில் இந்த பணம் வந்திருக்குன்னு பார்ப்போம், கையில் பணத்தையே பார்க்க மாட்டோம். ஸோ மணியை பற்றி பார்த்துட்டோம். நவ் வில் see what is financial freedom, how we are going to achieve financial freedom. Financial freedom enna? Financial freedom is nothing but freedom from financial worries and time pressure, working for passion and not for money, freedom from loan. Passive income should be more than your expenses. Your asset, that is your wealth, should be more than 20 times of your annual expense. Milestones in financial freedom. ஸோ இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு பிரைமரி இன்கம், உங்களுக்கு பாசிவ் இன்கம்னு இருக்குது, ஆக்டிவ் இன்கம் இருக்குது. ஆக்டிவ் இன்கம்னா நம்ம எல்லாம் ப்ரொஃபஷனில் ஏர்ன் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருப்போம், அதை தான் ஆக்டிவ் இன்கம்னு சொல்லுவோம். பாசிவ் இன்கம்னா என்ன? மணி ஷுட் ஏர்ன் மணி ஃபார் அஸ். நம்ம தூங்கிட்டு இருந்தால் கூட நம்ம சம்பாரிச்ச பணம் நம்மளுக்கு பணம் சம்பாரித்து கொடுக்கணும், அதுதான் பாசிவ் இன்கம். ஸோ இப்போ மைல்ஸ்டோன்ஸ் என்ன அப்படின்னா, த ஃபஸ்ட்டு மைல்ஸ்டோன்னா யுவர் பாசிவ் இன்கம் ஷுட் பி மோர் தேன் யுவர் ஆனுவல் எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ். செகண்ட் மைல்ஸ்டோன்னா passive income should be more than your annual active income. த அல்டிமேட் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் ஃப்ரீடம் என்ன அப்படின்னா என்னென்னா, யூ ஷுட் ஹாவ் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் டு சர்வைவ் ஃபார் மோர் தேன் 20 years வித்தவுட் எனி ஆக்டிவ் இன்கம். அப்படின்னா ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணாமல் இருக்கிறது கிடையாது. ப்ராக்டிஸ் வந்து நம்ம சந்தோஷத்தை கொடுக்கறதுக்காக பண்ணணும், பட் வந்து ஒரு கம்பல்ஷனுக்காக பண்ணக்கூடாது. ஸோ இந்த ஸ்லைட் பாருங்கள். 5% club hold 80% of the wealth. 95% club hold 20% of the wealth. நாம் எந்த கிளப்பில் இருக்கிறோம்? ஸோ இந்த 5% club, they very hard working people. They work from 9 to 5. டாக்டர் 7 to 7 கூட ஒர்க் பண்ணுவோம், சம்டைம்ஸ் 24 hours கூட ஒர்க் பண்ணுவோம். பட் we fall in the 80% of the wealth category. ஏன்னா நம்மள்ட்ட 5% wealth தான் இருக்குது. We should be smart working people, not hard working people. சரி, மணி பற்றியெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டோம், ஃபைனான்ஷியல் ஃப்ரீடம்னா என்னென்னு பார்த்துட்டோம். இதெல்லாம் சாத்தியமா? நாம் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் தவிர வேறு எதுலையாச்சும் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணி நம்மளால் மணி ஏர்ன் பண்ண முடியுமா? டெஃபினட்டாக முடியும். ஏன் அப்படின்னம்னா, திஸ் இஸ் ஜிடிபி ஆஃப் இந்தியா. ஜிடிபின்னா என்ன? கிராஸ் டொமஸ்டிக் ப்ராடக்ட். அதாவது ப்ரொடக்ஷனும் சர்வீஸ் செக்டாரும் சேர்ந்து இந்தியாவில் எவ்வளோ பண்ணுறாங்க அப்படிங்கிறது தான் இந்த கிராஃப் காட்டுது. 2000லேருந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஜிடிபி இஸ் ஆன் அ இன்க்ரீசிங் ட்ரெண்ட். இந்த கோவிட் டைமில் மட்டும் ஒரு டிப் இருக்கும். அதர் தேன் தட் த ஜிடிபி இஸ் ஆன் அ இன்க்ரீசிங் ட்ரெண்ட். ஸோ 2014 வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 100 trillion எக்கனாமியாக இருந்துச்சு M3 மணி. தட் இஸ் மணி விச் இஸ் இன் சர்க்குலேஷன் இன் இந்தியா அட் ப்ரெசென்ட். 2025 290 trillion, ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 3 times ஆயிடுச்சு. கோயிங் ஃபார்வர்ட் 2030 அது 700 trillion எக்கனாமியாக மாறப்போகுது. ஸோ இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் டு பி அ பார்ட் ஆஃப் திஸ் growth story, I think you have to stay invested. So financial freedom பற்றி பார்த்துட்டோம். ஏன் நம்ம இதை இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுங்கிற ரீசன் நான் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லிட்டேன். Now we'll go to the financial management. So how do you manage your finance? There are two management. One is money management and asset management. Money managementல என்ன? கேஷ் நம்மளுக்கு எப்படி வருது? How the inflow is coming? earn பண்ணுறோம் ப்ரொஃபஷன் மூலிமா, we take the loan and we sell the asset. நம்ம கையில் இருக்கிற அசெட் எதை விற்றோம்னாலும் நம்மளுக்கு மணி இன்ஃப்ளோ வரும். கிஃப்ட்ஸ் மூலியமாகவும் மணி இன்ஃப்ளோ வரும். கேஷ் அவுட்ஃப்ளோ எப்படியெல்லாம் போகும்? எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ் மூலிமா, லோன் ரீபே பண்ணால், அசெட் பையிங். ஏதாவது ஒரு அசெட், ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டாக இருக்கட்டும், ஷேர் மார்க்கெட்டில் நீங்கள் அசெட் வாங்குறதா இருக்கட்டும், கோல்டு வாங்குறதா இருக்கட்டும், யூ நீட் டு பை அசெட். அப்புறம் கவர்மெண்ட் டேக்ஸஸ், இது டெஃபினட்டாக இருக்கும். ஸோ கேஷ் இன்ஃப்ளோ என்ன, கேஷ் அவுட்ஃப்ளோ என்னங்கிற ஐடியா நம்மளுக்கு இருக்கணும். அப்போ தான் ஃபைனான்ஸை கரெக்டாக மேனேஜ் பண்ண முடியும். அசட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்டுன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கோல்டு, ரியல் எஸ்டேட், ஈக்விட்டி அண்ட் டெட். இதை ஷார்ட் ஃபார்மில் ஒரு நிமோனிக்கா GREDன்னு நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். இதுதான் ட்ரூ அசட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். ஸோ அசட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் பார்த்துட்டோம். லைஃப் ஸ்டேஜஸ். வாட் இஸ் லைஃப் ஸ்டேஜ்? டாக்டர்ஸ் தெரியும், 30 years 35 years வரைக்கும் படிச்சுக்கிட்டே இருப்போம். நம்ம ஏர்ன் பண்ண ஆரம்பிக்கிறப்பயே வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மோர் தேன் 30 years ஆயிரும். ஸோ லைஃப் ஸ்டேஜில் லெஸ் தென் 30 years யூ ஸ்பெண்ட் ஃபார் யுவர் எஜுகேஷன். Between 30 to 60 years it is for wealth creation. More than 30 yearsனா நம்ம wealth protection தான் பண்ணோம். ஸோ இங்கே இருக்கிற மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த டாக்டர்ஸ் ஐ எம் ஷுர் நீங்கள் 30 to 60 years ஏஜ் குரூப்பில் தான் இருக்கிறீங்க. ஸோ நாம் வெல்த் கிரியேட் பண்ணுற ஸ்டேஜில் இருக்கிறோம். இந்த வெல்த்தை எப்படி கிரியேட் பண்ண போகிறோங்கிறது தான் we are going to see now. ஸோ நம்மளுக்கு வந்து ஒரு டேக் ஹோம் மணி 100 rupees வருதுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஸோ 25% has to be given for the past spending. ஸோ ஒரு இஎம்ஐ எடுத்திருக்கோம், லோன் எடுத்திருக்கிறோம், 25% மணி வந்து அதுக்கு வந்து நம்ம ஒதுக்கி வச்சிடணும். ப்ரெசன்ட் ஸ்பெண்டிங் 25%, ஒரு ஸ்கூல் ஃபீஸாக இருக்கலாம், இல்லை ஒரு டே டு டே ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறதா இருக்கலாம். 25% இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் ஃபியூச்சர் ஸ்பெண்டிங். நீங்கள் பணம் சம்பாதிக்கிறீங்க, எதர் யூ வில் ஸ்பெண்ட் இட் டுடே ஆர் யூ வில் ஸ்பெண்ட் இட் டுமாரோ. ஸோ இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது இட்ஸ் ஃபார் ஃபியூச்சர் ஸ்பெண்டிங். அதுக்கு ஒரு 25% நீங்கள் வந்து ஒதுக்கிடணும். அன்பிளான்டு ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு எமர்ஜென்சிஸ் வரலாம், அதுக்கு ஒரு 25% இருக்கணும். ஸோ யுவர் டேக் ஹோம் மணி ஹேஸ் டு பி ஸ்பிளிட்டட் இன் திஸ் வே. ஸோ யூ நீட் டு ஹேவ் 3 பேங்க் அக்கௌண்ட்ஸ். ஒரே பேங்க் அக்கௌண்ட்டில் வச்சுட்டு மணி அவுட்ஃப்ளோ போகிறதே நம்மளுக்கு தெரியாது. நிறைய டைம் இந்த மிஸ்டேக் நம்ம பண்ணுவோம். ஸோ 25% இயர் மார்க் பண்ணி அது இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் அக்கௌண்ட்டில் வச்சுருங்க. அதுலேருந்து இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டுக்கு மட்டும் சிஸ்டமேட்டிக்காக அந்த அமௌண்ட்டு போயிட்டு இருக்கணும். ஸ்பெண்டிங்குன்னு தனியாக ஒரு அக்கௌண்ட் வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஜென்ரல் அக்கௌண்ட்டில் இன்னைக்கு இப்போல்லாம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பேஷண்ட் மோஸ்ட்லி ஜிபே, ஆன்லைன் பே அதுதான் பண்ணுறாங்க. அதெல்லாம் கலெக்ஷனுக்கு, இஎம்ஐக்கு, டேக்ஸுக்கு, இது எல்லாமே ஜென்ரல் அக்கௌண்ட்லேருந்து நீங்கள் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். ஸோ பெட்டர் டு ஹேவ் 3 accounts. ஸோ இப்போ ஃபைனான்ஸ் வந்து எப்படி நம்ம பிளான் பண்ண போகிறோம்? வி ஹேவ் டு பிரேக் இன் டு ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸ் அண்ட் லாங் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸ். ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸ்னால் என்னென்னு நம்ம பார்க்கலாம். ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸ்னால் ஹோம் வெக்கேஷன், இதெல்லாம் தான் ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸு. எனி கரண்ட் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் இயரில் நம்மளுக்கு என்னெல்லாம் எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ் இருக்கோ அது லெஸ் தேன் 1 year, அது வந்து ஷார்ட் டேர்ம் கோல்ஸ். மிட் டேர்ம் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் கோல்ஸு பிட்வீன் 1 to 7 years. லாங் டேர்ம் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் கோல்ஸ்னால் 7 years. என்னென்ன லாங் டேர்ம் ஃபைனான்ஷியல் கோல்ஸ் நம்மளுக்கு இருக்கலாம்? சைல்டு ஏ, 2 குழந்தைங்க இருந்தாங்கன்னா சைல்டு ஏ, சைல்டு பி. எஜுகேஷன் ஸ்டேஜில் இருப்பாங்க, இல்லாட்டி எஜுகேஷன் முடிச்சிட்டாங்கன்னா அடுத்தது மேரேஜ் ஸ்டேஜ். இது எல்லாமே ஒரு 7 years முன்னாடியே நீங்கள் பிளான் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிடணும். சைல்டு ஆர், விச் இஸ் மோஸ்ட் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட், ரிட்டையர்மெண்ட். நம்ம சைல்டு வந்து நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டாக நினச்சிக்காதீங்க, நம்ம ஒரிஜினல் குழந்தைங்க இல்லை. சைல்டு ஆர்ன்னு சொல்லி தனியாக ஒரு ஃபண்டு கிரியேட் பண்ணுங்க. வாட் ஆர் த பிரின்சிபல்ஸ் ஆஃப் பர்சனல் ஃபைனான்ஸ்? பேசிக்கெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டோம். ஸோ இந்த பிரின்சிபல்ஸ் எப்படி, ஹவு டு கோ அபவுட் த பர்சனல் ஃபைனான்ஸ், வில் சி அண்டர் தீஸ் ஹெட்டிங்ஸ்: லோன், இன்சூரன்ஸ், டாக்ஸேஷன், ஸ்பெண்டிங், இன்வெஸ்டிங் அண்ட் அசெட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். யாரெல்லாம் லோன் எடுத்துருக்கிறீங்க கை தூக்குங்க பார்க்கலாம். ஸோ ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 50% ஆஃப் த க்ரௌட். லோன் எடுக்கலாம், பட் லோனுக்குன்னு சில பிரின்சிபல்ஸ் இருக்குது. லோன் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் மாடர்ன் ஸ்லேவரி. நம்ம பார்த்துருக்குறோம் ஸ்லேவரினா என்னன்னு நம்மளுக்கு தெரியும். தெர் இஸ் நத்திங் கால் குட் லோன், பேட் லோன். குட் டெரரிஸ்ட், பேட் டெரரிஸ்ட்னு யாருமே கிடையாது, எல்லாமே பேட் தான். பட் இஃப் அட் ஆல் யூ வாண்ட் டு டேக் லோன் அப்படின்னா, குட் லோன் அப்படின்னு நம்ம சொல்கிறது, இட் ஹேஸ் டு பி ஹோம் லோன் for your hospital purpose, and if you are taking for education for your children, it is a good loan. Bad loan ங்கிறது all credit cards, I will come to that. Consumer goods, ஒரு ஆட்டோ கேஜெட்ஸ் வாங்குகிறோம், கார் வாங்குகிறோம், இதுக்கு எல்லாமே நம்ம லோன் எடுத்தோம்னா that is a bad loan. Personal loan எடுத்தோம்னாலும் that is a bad loan. No loan is best. If at all you are taking, you have to take for smallest amount, shortest duration, lowest interest rate with the lowest charges. ஆல்ரெடி லோன் எடுத்துருக்குன்னு நிறைய டாக்டர்ஸ் சொல்லியிருக்கீங்க. அதுக்கு யூ நீட் டு டூ ப்ரீபேமெண்ட், எக்ஸ்ட்ரா இஎம்ஐ பே பண்ணுங்கள். ஏதாவது கிஃப்ட்ஸ் வந்துச்சுன்னா அது பேமெண்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு பாருங்கள். டேர்ம் ரெடியூஸ் பண்ணுங்கள். ரேட், இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் ரேட் குறைஞ்சதுன்னா டேர்ம் ரெடியூஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு பாருங்கள். ஏன் கிரெடிட் கார்டு பேட்னு நான் சொல்கிறேன் அப்படின்னா, சம்டைம்ஸ் யூ நீட் டு யூஸ் கிரெடிட் கார்ட்ஸ். ஏன்னா இன்டர்நேஷனல் பேமெண்ட்ஸை டெபிட் கார்டு அக்செப்ட் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. யூ நீட் டு யூஸ் த கிரெடிட் கார்டு. பட் இஃப் யூ ஆர் யூஸிங் கிரெடிட் கார்டு ஃபார் இன்டர்நேஷனல் பேமெண்ட்ஸ், இமீடியட்லியாக பேங்க்கில் நீங்கள் அதை பே பண்ணிடுங்க. Bookings, only if they don't accept debit cards or GPay, you can use credit cards. Launch benefit கிடைக்குது, டிஸ்கவுண்ட்ஸ் கிடைக்குது அப்படின்லாம் கிரெடிட் கார்டு எடுக்காதீங்க. சிபில் ஸ்கோர் இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணுறேன்னு சொல்லி கடன் வாங்காதீங்க. இன்சூரன்ஸ் மோஸ்ட்டாக டாக்டர்ஸ் நம்ம இக்னோர் பண்ணுவோம், நம்மளுக்கு என்ன வந்துட போகுது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. இன்சூரன்ஸ்ன்னு சொன்னால் எத்தனை பேர் டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் வச்சுருக்கிறீங்க? ப்ளீஸ் raise your hand. Surprised to see only half the crowd is raising their hand. Term insurance is a must. Term insurance na enna? It is not a life insurance. It's a misnomer. It is a death insurance. The benefit will come only when you die. It is for your family who is dependent on you. It has to be a pure term insurance, accidental death benefit and a disability insurance. General insurance அப்படின்னா health, critical illness, car machine insurance, indemnity, fire property insurance. டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸில் இந்த 5 சென்டென்ஸ் மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. நிறைய பேர் வளவலன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, பாலிசி பஜார் அது இதுன்னு நிறைய கன்ஃபியூஸ் ஆகிக்க வேண்டாம். 5 பாயிண்ட்ஸில் அப்படின்னா, டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஹேஸ் டு பி அ பியூர் வெனிலா இன்சூரன்ஸ். அதில் நிறைய ரைடர்ஸ் எல்லாம் நீங்கள் ஆட் பண்ணக்கூடாது. சம் அஷ்யூர்டு ஹேஸ் டு பி 20 times ஆஃப் யுவர் ஆனுவல் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் ப்ளஸ் த லோன். உங்களோட ஆனுவல் எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் என்னென்னு பாருங்கள், உங்கள் ஃபேமிலிக்கு எவ்வளோ எக்ஸ்பென்சஸ் ஆகுதுன்னு பாருங்கள். இன்னொரு 20 வருஷத்துக்கு இருந்தீங்கன்னா நீங்கள் என்ன சம்பாதிக்க போகிறீங்களோ அதை டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸாக எடுங்க. ப்ளஸ் அவுட்ஸ்டாண்டிங் லோன் என்ன இருக்குதோ அதையும் இதில் ஆட் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. ஏஜ் அப் டு 70 years. எல்லாரும் சொல்லுவாங்க, சார் 95 years வரைக்கும் நான் டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் கொடுக்குறோம்மா ஏஜென்ட்டு. 95 years வரைக்கும் நம்ம டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் எடுத்து என்ன பண்ண போகிறோம்? 70 years வரைக்கும் நம்ம அலைவாக இருந்தால், ஐ எம் ஷுர் ஆல் த டாக்டர்ஸ் would have earned enough money for their retirement and for their children. And more than 70 years you don't need a term insurance. கார் வந்து பழைய கார் ஆயிடுச்சு, அது கராஜுக்கு போகுதுன்னா அதுக்கு இன்சூரன்ஸ் எடுத்துகிட்டு இருப்போம்மா, அது மாதிரி தான் 70 years மேலெலாம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் எடுக்காதீங்க. அப்புறம் பேமெண்ட்டு, டோன்ட் டூ லம்சம் பேமெண்ட்டு. சார் டேர்ம் இன்சூரன்ஸ் 30 yearsக்கு நான் கொடுக்குறேன், 5 வருஷத்துலேயே கட்டி முடிச்சிருங்க அப்படிமா. ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு தேவையான இன்சூரன்ஸ் அமௌண்ட்டு மட்டும் நீங்கள் ப்ரீமியமாக கட்டினா போதும். நீங்கள் 30 years ப்ரீமியமாக 5 வருஷத்தில் கட்டி முடிச்சா, இட்ஸ் ஒன்லி த கம்பெனி இஸ் கோயிங் டு கெட் பெனிஃபிட்டட், யூ ஒன்ட் பி பெனிஃபிட்டட் இன் எனி வே. கம்பெனிஸ், எனி லீடிங் கம்பெனிஸ், LIC, SBI, HDFC அது மாதிரி நீங்கள் எடுத்துக்கலாம். ஹெல்த் இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஐம் ஷூர் எவ்ரிபடி வில் பி ஹேவிங் இட். இந்த ஹெல்த் இன்சூரன்ஸ் 2 children இருந்தால் ஒரு அடல்ட்டு ஒரு சைல்டு கிளப் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. ஃபேமிலி ஹெல்த் இன்சூரன்ஸாக எடுக்காதீங்க. ஏன் அப்படின்னா, ஃபேமிலி ஹெட்டு யாருவோ அதை பொறுத்து தான் வந்து ப்ரீமியம் மாறுபடும். ஒருத்தர் கிளைம் பண்ணிட்டாலும் மற்றவங்களுக்கு அந்த கிளைம் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி கிடைக்காம போகும். ஸோ இட்ஸ் ஆல்வேஸ் டு ஹேவ் 2 separate ஹெல்த் இன்சூரன்ஸ் ஃபார் த ஃபேமிலி. பேஸ் பாலிசி அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா மினிமம் 10 to 15 lakhs இருக்கணும். 20 to 25 lakhs ஆல்சோ ஐடியல். ப்ளஸ் சூப்பர் டாப்அப் எடுத்துக்கலாம். டாப்அப்புக்கும் சூப்பர் டாப்அப்புக்கும் என்ன வித்தியாசம்னா, டாப்அப் என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னா அவங்க பேஸ் பாலிசி எல்லாம் ட்ரெயின் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் டாப்அப் ஒர்க் ஆகும். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் பேஸ் பாலிசி 10 lakhs இருந்தால் பில் 9.9 lakhs போட்டு அவ்வளோதான் சேங்ஷன் ஆகுதுன்னு கொடுத்துருவாங்க. டாப்அப் யூஸ் ஆகாது. சூப்பர் டாப்அப் எடுத்துட்டிங்கன்னா அது வந்து யூஸ் ஆகும். இட் வில் பி ஆக்டிவேட்டட் ஈவன் இஃப் யுவர் பேஸ் பாலிசி டசன்ட் எக்ஸ்பயர். ஏஜ் எங்கர் இஸ் த பெட்டர். ஏன் அப்படின்னம்னா ஒரு 40 yearsக்கு மேலே உங்களுக்கு ஒரு ஹைப்பர் டென்ஷன் வருது, டயபெட்டிக்ஸ் வருதுன்னா ஒரு 3 yearsக்கு நீங்கள் கிளைம் பண்ண முடியாது. சம் கம்பெனிஸ் நீங்கள் அன்ஃபார்ச்சுனேட்லி ஏதாச்சும் ஒரு கார்டியக் ஈவெண்ட், ஒரு நியூரோ ஈவெண்ட் வந்துச்சுன்னா உங்களால் இன்சூரன்ஸே எடுக்க முடியாமல் போகலாம். ஸோ இட்ஸ் பெட்டர் யூ டேக் இன்சூரன்ஸ் as soon as you start your practice. அப்புறம் கம்பெனிஸ் as I told you, you can take in any leading companies. பர்சனல் இண்டெம்னிட்டி இன்சூரன்ஸ் லீகல் பர்பஸ்க்கு IMA PPLSS தான் ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டு. அதை நிறைய ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க ஆல்ரெடி. நீங்கள் அதை எடுத்துக்கணும். கிளைம் செட்டில்மெண்ட்டுக்கு IMA கொடுக்கக்கூடிய 10 to 20 lakhs பத்தாது. அதனால் ப்ரைவேட் இன்சூரன்ஸில் உங்களோட ப்ரொஃபஷனல் ரிஸ்க்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி, உங்களோட ப்ராக்டிஸ் ரிஸ்க்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி மினிமம் 1 crore எடுத்துக்கோங்க. அப்புறம் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா யூ ஹேவ் டு டேக் திஸ் as soon as you start your practice. கம்பெனி அகெயின் எனி லீடிங் கம்பெனிஸ் AOY AOA 1:1 இருக்கணும். எனிபடி ஹேவிங் எனி ஐடியா அபவுட் வாட் இஸ் AOY to AOA? யார் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் இண்டெம்னிட்டி இன்சூரன்ஸ் எடுத்துருக்கிறீங்க? மேடம் இதை பற்றி நீங்கள் லீகல் ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் பேசுனீங்க. ஓகே மேடம். ஸோ யூ ஹவ் டேக்கன் ப்ளீஸ் மேடம். ஸோ இட் இஸ் எனி டைம் ஆஃப் இயர் எனி ஒன் ஆக்சிடெண்ட். அதாவது ஒரு கிளைமுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 1:1 எடுக்கிறது தான் பரவாயில்ல. 1:4னா நீங்கள் 1 crore எடுத்திருந்தீங்கன்னா அது லீகல் கிளைம் 1 crore வந்து அது வந்து இது ஆச்சுனாலும் நாம் வந்து அவன் 25% தான் கொடுப்பான். 1:4 எடுத்திங்கன்னா ஆல்வேஸ் மேக் ஷுர் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் இண்டெம்னிட்டி இன்சூரன்ஸ் எடுக்கிறப்போ 1:1 எடுங்க. அப்போ தான் கிளைம் அதிகமாக வந்துச்சுனாலும் அவன் அந்த ஃபுல் பேமெண்ட் வந்து பண்ணுவாங்க. டாக்ஸேஷன்லேருந்து நம்ம தப்பிக்கவே முடியாது. ஸோ மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் அஸ் ஆர் வெரி வெல் அவேர் அபவுட் த இன்கம் டேக்ஸ். பட் வாட் வி டோன்ட் நோ இஸ் த லாட் ஆஃப் அதர் டேக்ஸ் ஆர் தேர். டைரக்ட் taxes ஆர் ப்ரொஃபஷனல் டேக்ஸ், செக்யூரிட்டி டிரான்சாக்ஷன் டேக்ஸ், கமோடிட்டி டிரான்சாக்ஷன் டேக்ஸ், ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி டேக்ஸ், ஸ்டாம்ப் டியூட்டி, ரோட் டேக்ஸ், இத்தனை இருக்குது. Indirect tax for all the goods and services you avail on your day-to-day basis, everything is taxed. Alcohol, tobacco, petrol, custom duty, tariff, everything is taxed. Death and taxes are certain. Except air consumption, everything else is taxed in India. Taxation. நான் டேக்ஸ் கட்ட மாட்டேன், பணத்தை பதுக்கி வச்சுப்பேன் வீட்டில் அப்படின்னா தயவு செஞ்சு அந்த தப்பை பண்ணாதீங்க. Anybody is having idea about inflation? Can you please tell? Any volunteer? What is current inflation in India? Sorry? 6.5. That is government is telling 6.5. But in real life, it will be close to 10%. So if you are stacking your cash, you will be losing 10% of your value. So never hold cash in thing. You need to, don't be afraid of tax. Aprom 10% is the nominal inflation. Education inflation is somewhere between 10 to 15%. And what is medical inflation? It is close to 20%. Medical inflation is very high. நம்ம டாக்டர்ஸே ஒரு கார்பரேட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கு போனோம்னா நிறைய விஷயத்தை நம்மளால் அஃபோர்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ அதனால தான் இன்சூரன்ஸ் இஸ் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட். அதாவது ஃபைனான்ஷியல் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் போகிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம ஏன் லோன் பற்றி பேசுகிறோம், ஏன் டேக்ஸ் பற்றி பேசுகிறோம், ஏன் இன்சூரன்ஸ் பற்றி பேசுகிறோம்னா இதுலையெல்லாம் அவேர்னஸ் நம்மளுக்கு இல்லைன்னா நம்ம எவ்வளோ மணி ஏர்ன் பண்ணோம்னாலும் ஏதோ ஒரு விஷயத்தில் நம்ம மாட்டிப்போம். ஸோ அதனால் யூ நீட் டு பி வெரி வெல் அவேர் ஆஃப் ஆல் திஸ் இன்ஃப்ளேஷன். ஸோ டேக்ஸ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் யூ ஹேவ் டு இன்க்ரீஸ் யுவர் போஸ்ட் டேக்ஸ் இன்கம், இன்க்ரீஸ் இன்வெஸ்டிங், ப்ரீ டேக்ஸ் ஸ்பெண்டிங்கை கம்மி பண்ணுங்க, போஸ்ட் டேக்ஸ் ஸ்பெண்டிங்கை அதிகப்படுத்துங்க. டேக்ஸ் ஷேவிங் ஷுட் பி நெவர் யுவர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கோல். ஸ்பெண்டிங் இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் பிடிச்ச விஷயம், எல்லாருமே ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறோம். மணி ஏர்ன் பண்ணுறதே ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்காக தான். But we need to be very mindful while spending. What is pawns? What is pops? Pawns na products of need. உங்கள் டே டு டே லைஃப்பில் நீங்கள் எதெல்லாம் யூஸ் பண்ணுறீங்களோ, வாட்டர், ஃபுட், கேஜெட்ஸ், சிம்பிள் கேஜெட்ஸ், கார், இது எல்லாமே ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் நீட் தான். அப்போ ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் ப்ரெஸ்டீஜ்னா என்ன? காஸ்ட்லி ஜுவல்லரிஸ் அண்ட் கார். இது ஏன் நம்ம ப்ராடக்ட்ஸ் ஆஃப் ப்ரெஸ்டீஜ்னு சொல்கிறோம்? வாட் எவர் யூ போஸ்ட் as a status in Facebook, WhatsApp, and whatever you are showing in the party, it is definitely products of prestige. Product of need கிடையாது இது. So now we will come to asset management. ஸோ அசட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்னா என்ன? எல்லாருமே இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணியிருப்போம், அது இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டுன்னு நாம் நினச்சிட்டு இருப்போம். மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் த டைம் இட் இஸ் டம்பிங் மணி. டம்பிங் மணினா என்ன? நம்ம ப்ரொஃபஷனில் ஏர்ன் பண்ணுறோம், we have enough money, surplus money, we give to the agents, we give to the friends, fat, fashion, சோஷியல் மீடியாவில் நியூஸ் வருது, இதில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணால் நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க, அதை நம்பி நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறோம். இக்னோரன்ஸ் பிளான்ஸ், நான் ஆல்ரெடி சொல்லிட்டேன், யுவர் எல்ஐசி அண்ட் யூலிப் ஆர் இக்னோரன்ஸ் பிளான்ஸ். கிரிப்டோவில் பணம் போட்டால் 1 lakh 1 crore ஆகுன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, அது கிரிப்டோ எப்படி ஒர்க் பண்ணுதுன்னே நம்மளுக்கு தெரியாது. ஆல் பான்சி ஸ்கீம்ஸ் we are already discussed. All this haphazard investment is called as daldia. அப்படின்னா என்ன? டம்பிங், throwing the money. It is not investment. And what is real investment? You need to have an exit plan. எக்ஸிட் பிளான்னா என்ன? இன்றைக்கி நான் பணம் ஒரு இடத்துல இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறேன்னா எப்போ அந்த பணம் எடுக்கணும்னு எனக்கு தெரியணும். அந்த ஐடியா இல்லாமல் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணக்கூடாது. எதர் இட் ஷுட் பி அ டைம் டார்கெட், ஒரு 7 to 10 வருஷம் நான் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறேன், ஆர் இட் ஷுட் பி அ டார்கெட் ஓரியன்ட். ஒரு 20% வந்துச்சுன்னா, எனக்கு கேபிட்டலுக்கு ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வந்துச்சுன்னா நான் அதை எடுத்துக்கிறேன். திஸ் ஷுட் பி யுவர் எக்ஸிட் கிரைட்டீரியா. அதுக்கு கால்குலேஷன் தேவைப்படுது. என்ன காஸ்ட், வாட் இஸ் த டாக்ஸேஷன், whether the product you are investing is having liquidity or not, what is the risk, what is the return of this product அப்படின்னு எல்லாம் நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும். இதை தெரிஞ்சுட்டு என்ன ப்ராடக்ட்ஸில் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும், கோல்டு, ரியல் எஸ்டேட், ஈக்விட்டி அண்ட் டெட், இதில் தான் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். இதுதான் அசெட் மெயினாக. அண்ட் டு இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் திஸ் we need to have a proper education and we need to invest systematically. ஸோ இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டு வந்துட்டோம், அசெட் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் எப்படி பண்ணுறதுன்னு பார்த்துட்டோம், எது இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் இல்லை, எது ப்ராப்பர் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டுங்கிறதும் பார்த்துட்டோம். வாட் இஸ் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்? இன்வெஸ்டர் ப்ளஸ் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட். ஒரு இன்வெஸ்டர் ஒரு இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட் மூலிமா இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது தான் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டுன்னு சொல்கிறோம். ஸோ நான் சொல்லிட்டேன், டைம் ஹொரைசான் வச்சுக்கணும். லாங் டேர்ம், ஷார்ட் டேர்ம், மிட் டேர்ம், இது ஆல்ரெடி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். லாங் டேர்ம்னா 7 to 10 years. இன்றைக்கி மணி போட்டுட்டு நாளைக்கே அது ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வரணும்னு யாரும் எதிர்பார்க்கக்கூடாது. இன்றைக்கி மணி நம்ம ஒரு இடத்துல இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிவிட்டு நாம் கீழே போகுதுன்னு வருத்தப்படக்கூடாது. ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டில் அதை நம்ம பண்ண மாட்டோம், ஆனால் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட்டில் அதை பண்ணுவோம். ஏஜ், whether you are a young person, whether you are a senior citizen, if you are above 60 years, அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டு. 30 to 60 years தான் வெல்த் கிரியேஷன் ஸ்டேஜ்னு நான் சொல்லியிருக்கேன். மோர் தென் 60 years அப்படிங்கிறப்போ வெல்த் ப்ரொடெக்ஷன் தான். வெல்த் ப்ரொடெக்ஷன் அப்படிங்கிறப்போ அதுக்கு உண்டான இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸில் தான் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். இட் டிபெண்ட்ஸ் ஆன் யுவர் ரிஸ்க் appetite and tolerance. சில பேர்த்துக்கு 10% அவங்க இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் கீழே போனாவே டென்ஷன் ஆயிடுவாங்க. சில பேர் 30% கீழே போனாலும் கம்ஃபர்டபுளாக உட்காந்துருப்பாங்க. ஏன்னா கோவிடே இதுக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள். கோவிடில் நியர்லி 40% இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் கிராஷ் ஆச்சு. பட் கோவிடில் யாரெல்லாம் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டில் இருந்தாங்களோ, யாரெல்லாம் கோவிடில் அதிகமாக இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணாங்களோ, they have made a fortune. Goal, it should be wealth creation or wealth protection. எக்ஸ்பர்டைஸ் நீங்கள் வெல்த் ப்ரொடெக்ஷனுக்குன்னா மினிமல் எக்ஸ்பர்டைஸ் தான் தேவைப்படும். வெல்த் கிரியேஷன்னா ஒரு அட்வான்ஸ் எக்ஸ்பர்டைஸ் தேவைப்படும். ஸோ 10 minutes a month பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வெல்த் ப்ரொடெக்ஷனுக்கு, 10 minutes a day பார்த்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு அட்வான்ஸ்டு இன்வெஸ்டராக நீங்கள் வரணும்னா. ஸோ அசட் பற்றி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். ஸோ கோல்டு, ஈக்விட்டி, டெட், ரியல் எஸ்டேட். இது ஏன் நான் திரும்ப திரும்ப சொல்கிறேன்னா, GRED இந்த ஃபார்முலாலே நீங்கள் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. ஸோ GRED அப்படின்னா என்ன? கோல்டு, ரியல் எஸ்டேட், ஈக்விட்டி, டெட். இதில் எப்படி நம்ம டைவர்சிஃபை பண்ணலாம் அப்படின்னா, ஈக்விட்டியில் 40%, ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டில் 40%, கோல்டில் 10%, டெட் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ். டெட் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் யுவர் பேங்க் FDs, லிக்விட் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் இன் த மார்க்கெட். இதெல்லாமே டெட் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ்னு சொல்லும். ஹவு கேன் வி மேக் மணி ஃப்ரம் திஸ் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ்? த்ரூ கேபிட்டல் கெயின். நீங்கள் ஒரு ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டோ இல்லை ஷேர்ஸோ நீங்கள் விற்றீங்கன்னா கேபிட்டல் கெயின் வரும், ரெண்ட் வரும். நீங்கள் ஒரு கமர்ஷியல் ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி வச்சுருந்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு ரெண்ட் வரும், இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வரும். ஒரு FD வச்சுருந்தீங்க, ஒரு லிக்விட் ஃபண்ட் வச்சுருந்தீங்கன்னா அதுலேருந்து இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வரும், டிவிடெண்ட் வரும். நீங்கள் ஷேர்ஸாக வச்சுருந்தீங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பாக டிவிடெண்ட் இருக்கும். சாரி ஃபார் த இன்டரப்ஷன். ஸோ GRDயில் ஃபஸ்ட்டு கோல்டு. ஸோ கோல்டில் என்ன இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் இருக்குது இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு? சாவரின் கோல்ட் பாண்ட்ஸ். இட் இஸ் டிஸ்கன்டினியூட் பை த கவர்மெண்ட், பட் ஸ்டில் யூ கேன் பை சாவரின் கோல்ட் பாண்ட்ஸ் இன் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட். கோல்ட் பீஸ். கோல்ட் பீஸ் இஸ் நத்திங் பட் கோல்டு ETF, தட் இஸ் லிஸ்டட் எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ட்ரேடட் ஃபண்ட். கோல்டு காயின்ஸ் வாங்கிக்கலாம், கோல்டு ஃபியூச்சர், அது அட்வான்ஸ் ட்ரேடருக்கு. ப்ளீஸ் நோட் ஹியர், ஜுவல்லரி இஸ் an எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ், நாட் அ இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட். லேடிஸ் மன்னிச்சுக்கோங்க, ஏன்னா இது கண்டிப்பாக எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் தான். கன்சம்ஷனுக்காக நீங்கள் வாங்கினீங்கனாலும் த மூமெண்ட் யூ பை த ஜுவல்லரி அண்ட் யூ கம் அவுட் ஆஃப் த ஷாப், ஆல்ரெடி 10% 15% வேல்யூ போயிடும். மேக்கிங் பிரேக்கிங் சார்ஜஸ் எல்லாம் சொல்லுவாங்க. அடுத்த நாளே அடுத்த நிமிஷமே நீங்கள் திரும்பி கொண்டு போய் அந்த கடையில் கொடுத்தீங்கனாலும் நீங்கள் வாங்கின வேல்யூலேருந்து 10% போயிடும். ஸோ ஜுவல்லரி இஸ் an expense, not an investment. Consumption purpose it is okay, not as an investment. Real estate. Real estate, most of us will be having real estate, either ancestral property or we would have invested in real estate. Agricultural land, non-agricultural land, residential building, commercial building. இதெல்லாம் எஸ்டர் இயர்ஸ்க்கு ஓகே. பட் இப்போ இருக்கக்கூடிய சேலஞ்சஸ் என்ன ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டில்? It is a large ticket size. You need to have a lot of money to buy a real estate. The cost is more. Liquidity is very less. You cannot sell a portion of real estate. நீங்கள் 2 கோடி ரூபாய்க்கு வாங்கியிருக்கீங்க, எனக்கு 50 லட்சம் தான் தேவைப்படுதுன்னா உங்களால் விற்க முடியாது. மொத்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி விற்று தான் ஆகணும். டிஸ்பியூட்ஸ், சிப்ளிங்ஸ்லேருந்து டிஸ்பியூட் வரும், உங்களுக்கு 10 பையர்ஸ்லேருந்து டிஸ்பியூட் வரும், செல்லர்ஸ்லேருந்து டிஸ்பியூட் வரும். ஸோ ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டில் யூ ஹேவ் டு பி வெரி கேர்ஃபுல். ஸோ கோல்டு பார்த்துட்டோம், உங்களுக்கு ரியல் எஸ்டேட் பார்த்துட்டோம். அப்புறம் ஈக்விட்டி. ஈக்விட்டியில் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட் இருக்குது, எக்ஸ்சேஞ்ச் ட்ரேடட் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது, டைரக்ட் மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது, டெரிவேட்டிவ்ஸ் இருக்குது. We are going to see that. Debt instruments, already we have discussed. What are the generic products? FDs, bonds, public provident fund, Suganya Samriddhi scheme, RBI bonds, companies bonds. இது எல்லாமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா it is called generic products. What are the branded products அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா exchange traded funds, debt mutual funds, your ignorance plans. ஸோ இப்போ ஈக்விட்டி ப்ராப்பர் நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறோம். We have seen how to invest in gold, how to invest in debt, and what about the real estate-னு பார்த்துட்டோம். ரியல் எஸ்டேட் உங்களுக்கு ancestral ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி இருந்துச்சுன்னா கோயிங் ஃபார்வர்டு நீங்கள் ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டில் அதிகமாக இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணாதீங்க. ஸோ ஹவு டஸ் திஸ் மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட் அண்ட் ஹவு டஸ் திஸ் ஷேர் மார்க்கெட் ஒர்க், அது ஒரு ப்ரீஃபாக நம்ம பார்த்துடலாம். ஸோ வாட் இஸ் அ மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்? எத்தனை பேர் மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கீங்க? வெரி தின் க்ரௌட். ஓகே. How many asset management companies are there in India? Any idea? Whoever has invested in mutual fund, can you please tell me how many fund houses are there in India? 6. Okay. Any other number? How many mutual funds are there in India? பாருங்கள், ட்ரக்ஸ் எல்லாம் கேட்டால் படப்படன்னு நம்ம ஒப்பிப்போம். போட்டு ரூட் லேர்னிங் பண்ணி எவ்வளோ ட்ரக் கேட்டாலும் படப்படன்னு நம்ம சொல்லிடுவோம். இதெல்லாம் நம்மளுக்கு தெரியறதில்ல. ஓகே. ஸோ தேர் ஆர் அபவுட் 40 to 50 ஃபண்ட் ஹவுசஸ். ஃபண்ட் ஹவுசஸ்னால் என்ன? HDFC, ICICI, LIC, SBI, இது மாதிரியான ஃபண்ட் ஹவுசஸ் நிறையா இருக்குது. ஸோ இவங்க எல்லாமே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நியர்லி அபவுட் 2000 மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் ஆர் தேர். இந்த 2000 மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்ஸில் ஏஜென்ட் ஏதாவது ஒன்று சொல்லுவாங்க, அதை தான் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிகிட்டு இருக்கிறோம் இத்தனை நாள். So we will see how this mutual fund works. So group of investors, they pool their money, they give to the fund manager, and the fund manager, he invests in securities. Securities is nothing but stock market. He develops returns, and the generated return is given back to the investors. This is how a mutual fund works. So people who have raised the hands, that those who are investing in mutual fund, what kind of mutual fund you are investing in? Anybody can volunteer and tell how many mutual funds are there in their portfolio and what funds they are investing in. Yes, sir. Mike.
I have 3 or 4 funds, all of them direct investments. One invests in Nifty 50. Another is a HDFC Balanced Advantage Fund. Because I'm young, I have more equity going in. I also have a gold fund going and a power and infra fund going. So mostly equity and a little bit of gold.
Okay.
All direct investments.
So investing in Nifty, which cap fund you are investing in, sir?
This, sir? Nifty 50.
Nifty 50. Okay, sir. Thank you. So there is something called regular fund and direct fund. Doctor has told that he is investing directly. That is very good. We are not supposed to invest through regular funds. Regular funds na enna? The funds which you are investing through an agent is called as regular fund. And anybody who is investing through the bank is also called a regular fund. A regular fundukum direct fundukum expense ratio தான் வித்தியாசம் 1 to 2%. அவங்க சொல்லுவாங்க ஏஜென்ட், சார் 1% தாங்க சார் வித்தியாசம் அப்படிம்பாங்க. நாமளும் 1% தானே, போனால் போயிட்டு போகிறான் பாவம், சரிப்பா நீ என் பணத்தை எடுத்துக்கோ மேனேஜ் பண்ணிக்கன்னு நம்ம கொடுத்துருவோம். We won't be know how many funds are there in the portfolio also. ஸோ வாட் இஸ் த டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் பிட்வீன் அ டைரக்ட் அண்ட் த ரெகுலர் மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்? இங்கே பாருங்கள், டைம் ஹாரிசான் வந்து 20 years நான் எழுதியிருக்கேன். எக்ஸ்பெக்டட் ரிட்டர்ன் நாமினலாக 15% போட்டிருக்கேன். மந்த்லி இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் ஒரு 50,000 போட்டிருக்கேன். 20 years கழிச்சு அந்த ரிட்டர்ன் ஆன் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் வந்து நீங்கள் பாருங்கள், 5 crores 5.5 crores ஒன்றில், இன்னொன்றில் 6.6 crores. டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஆல்மோஸ்ட் 1 crore அண்ட் டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் வந்து 20%. திஸ் இஸ் த டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் ஓவர் அ பீரியட் ஆஃப் லாங் டேர்ம். அதாவது தட் 1 to 2% எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் ரேஷியோ வந்து இட்ஸ் கிரியேட்டிங் ஸோ மச் ஆஃப் டிஃப்ரென்ஸ். ஏன் அப்படின்னம்னா, do you think the fund managers are not knowledgeable? Definitely they are knowledgeable. But where does the money go in regular mutual fund? ரெகுலர் மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டில் ஏஜென்ட்ஸ்க்கு கமிஷன் போகுது. அந்த கமிஷன் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா தான் இவ்வளோ டிஃப்ரென்ஸ் கிரியேட் பண்ணுது. அப்படின்னா ரெகுலர் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் தப்பா? இது தப்பே கிடையாது. இங்கிலீஷ் படிக்க தெரியாதவனுக்கு தான் ரெகுலர் ஃபண்ட்ஸு, படிக்க தெரிஞ்சவங்களுக்கு கண்டிப்பாக டைரக்ட் ஃபண்ட்ஸ் தான். ஆஸ் அ டாக்டர்ஸ் ஆல் ஆஃப் அஸ் ஷுட் மூவ் டுவர்ட்ஸ் டைரக்ட் ஃபண்ட். யாராவது ரெகுலர் ஃபண்ட்ஸில் இருந்தீங்கன்னா இட்ஸ் ஹை டைம் யூ ஷுட் ஸ்விட்ச் ஓவர் டு டைரக்ட் ஃபண்ட்ஸ். த ரீசன் இஸ் தேர் இன் தி ஸ்லைட். ஸோ ஈக்விட்டி மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்ட்னா பார்த்தோம். சார் நிஃப்டி 50 கம்பெனியில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறதா சொன்னார். ஸோ நிஃப்டி 50னா என்னது, வாட் ஆர் த டிஃப்ரென்ஸ்? ஸோ ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட்டில் எனி ஐடியா ஹவு மெனி கம்பெனிஸ் ஆர் லிஸ்டட் இன் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட்? எனி நம்பர்? Hundreds, thousands, 20,000. Okay. There are about 7,000 listed companies in the stock market. So 7,000 listed companiesல எப்படி செலக்ட் பண்ணுறோங்கிறது ஒரே மலைப்பாக இருக்கும். 7,000 listed companiesல ஒரு 1,000 companies தான் ஆக்டிவாக ட்ரேட் ஆகும். முக்கால்வாசி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எல்லாம் சின்ன சின்ன பென்னி ஸ்டாக்ஸ் தான் இருக்கும். இந்த 1000லேயே ஃபஸ்ட்டு 500 கம்பெனிஸில் நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணால் போதும். ஏன்னா நம்ம ஜிடிபி பற்றி பார்த்தோம் ஃபஸ்ட் ஸ்லைடில். இந்தியாவோட ஜிடிபியில் நியர்லி 60 to 70% கம்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் திஸ் 500 கம்பெனிஸ். ஸோ இந்தியா ஜிடிபி ரைஸ் ஆச்சுன்னா என்னென்னு நம்ம பார்த்தோம், மணி சர்க்குலேஷன் எக்கனாமியில் அதிகமாகும். மணி சர்க்குலேஷன் எக்கனாமியில் அதிகமாச்சுன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ண மணியும் உங்களுக்கு அதிகமாகும். ஸோ அப்போது நாம் வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா இந்த 7,000 கம்பெனிஸில் நம்ம 500 கம்பெனிஸ் மட்டும்தான் எடுத்துக்கிறோம். அந்த 500 கம்பெனிஸ் என்ன, லார்ஜ் கேப் கம்பெனிஸ். இந்த ஸ்லைடு பார்த்தீங்கன்னாவே தெரியும், பிக் கம்பெனிஸ் ஆர் கால்ட் அஸ் லார்ஜ் கேப் கம்பெனி. பட் அதுக்கு ஒரு டெஃபினேஷன் இருக்கணும். The first 100 companies by market capitalization, யாருக்கு மார்க்கெட் கேபிட்டலைசேஷன் அதிகமாக இருக்குதோ அவங்க வந்து லார்ஜ் கேப் கம்பெனிஸ்ன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. சார் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது டாப் 50 கம்பெனிஸில் மட்டும் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறாரு. அதில் என்ன டிஸ்அட்வான்டேஜுங்கிறது நான் சொல்கிறேன். மிட் கேப் கம்பெனிஸ் அப்படின்னா 101லேருந்து 250 கம்பெனிஸ். ஸ்மால் கேப் கம்பெனிஸ்னால் 251லேருந்து 500 கம்பெனிஸ். ஓகே. ஸோ லார்ஜ் கேப் கம்பெனிஸில் மட்டும் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னம்னா, நிஃப்டி 50 கம்பெனிஸில் மட்டும் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறோம்னா என்ன அர்த்தம்னா, டாப் 50 கம்பெனிஸில் மட்டும்தான் நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுவீங்க. டாப் 50 கம்பெனிஸ்னால் என்ன, ரிலையன்ஸ், ஹெச்டிஎஃப்சி, ஐசிஐசி பேங்க், இது எல்லாமே மெச்சூர்டு கம்பெனிஸ். இந்த மெச்சூர்ட் கம்பெனிஸ் எல்லாம் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 10 to 15% தான் கொடுக்கும். பட் டவுன் சைடு ரிஸ்க்கு கம்மியாக இருக்கும். வேறாஸ் நீங்கள் மிட் கேப் கம்பெனிஸில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் அதிகமாக இருக்கும், டவுன் சைடு ரிஸ்க்கும் அதிகமாக இருக்கும். மிட் கேப் கம்பெனிஸ்னால் என்ன, இன்றைக்கி வந்து ஒரு கம்பெனி ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருந்திருப்பாங்க, ஆனால் அவங்களுக்கு நிறைய பொட்டென்ஷியல் இருக்கும், நாளைக்கே வந்து அவங்க லார்ஜ் கேப் கம்பெனியாக மாறலாம். ஸோ நீங்கள் வந்து கோல்டு, ரியல் எஸ்டேட், ஈக்விட்டியில் டைவர்சிஃபை பண்ணி இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுங்கன்னு சொல்லியிருந்தேன். கோல்டுக்கு 10%, டெட் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட் 10%, ஈக்விட்டி ரியல் எஸ்டேட்டுக்கு 40-50% சொல்லியிருந்தேன். அந்த 40 to 50%லேயே நீங்கள் ஈக்விட்டியில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறப்போ லார்ஜ் கேப், மிட் கேப், ஸ்மால் கேப்னு டைவர்சிஃபை பண்ணணும். அப்படி டைவர்சிஃபை பண்ணிங்கன்னா தான் யூ கேன் எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் குட் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ். ஸோ மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டை பற்றி எவ்வளோ பேசிட்டோம். எப்படி நம்ம மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டை செலக்ட் பண்ணுறது அப்படின்னா, வேல்யூ ரிசர்ச் ஆன்லைன் இருக்குது, நிறைய ஃப்ரீ வெப்சைட்ஸ் இருக்குது. அங்கே போய் இந்த க்ரைட்டீரியாவை, ஒரு சிம்பிள் க்ரைட்டீரியா, நிறையா நிமோனிக்ஸ் வச்சு நம்ம ட்ரக் கிளாஸிஃபிகேஷன்லாம் படிச்சிருப்போம். சைக்கியாட்ரிஸ்ட் நிறைய ட்ரக்ஸ் படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. இந்த சிம்பிள் நிமோனிக் வந்து ஒரு பெரிய விஷயமே கிடையாது. கேரசா க்ரைட்டீரியா, வெல்த்கான் கேரசா க்ரைட்டீரியானா என்ன, சீனா கேட்டகரி, கேட்டகரி நம்ம பார்த்துட்டோம். ஃப்ளெக்ஸி கேப், ஃப்ளெக்ஸி கேப்னா என்ன, இந்த 3 லார்ஜ் கேப்பு, மிட் கேப்பு, ஸ்மால் கேப்பை மிக்ஸ் பண்ணது தான். அந்த வந்து ஒரு பேல்பூரி மாதிரி அந்த மிக்ஸ் பண்ணது தான் ஃப்ளெக்ஸி கேப்பு. அப்புறம் லார்ஜ் கேப், மிட் கேப், ஸ்மால் கேப், அந்த மாதிரி டெட் இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸ்லேயும் லிக்விட் ஃபண்ட்லேயும் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். லிக்விட் ஃபண்ட் வில் பிஹேவ் மோர் லைக் எஃப்டிஸ் ஒன்லி. ஸோ த ஏஜ் ஆஃப் ஃபண்ட் ஹேஸ் டு பி மினிமம் 5 years. 5 years ஒரு கம்பெனி இருந்து அது ஒரு ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் காட்டி இருந்தது, அதுக்கு ஒரு ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் இருந்தால் தான் அந்த கம்பெனியில் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். அசெட் அண்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் வந்து மோர் தேன் 500 crores. ரிட்டர்ன் ஹேஸ் டு பி மேக்ஸிமம் ஃபார் 5 year, 3 year and 1 year. எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் ரேஷியோ வந்து கம்மியாக இருக்கணும். சார்டினோ ரேஷியோ வந்து மேக்ஸிமமாக இருக்கணும். சார்டினோ ரேஷியோனா ரிஸ்க் அட்ஜஸ்டட் ரேஷியோ. ஆல்ஃபா ரேஷியோனா அதுவும் மேக்ஸிமமாக இருக்கும். ஏன்னா ஒரு ஃபண்டுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஆக்டிவ் ஃபண்ட் இருக்குது, உங்களுக்கு வந்து பாசிவ் ஃபண்டில் இண்டெக்ஸ் ஃபண்ட் இருக்குது. நம்ம இண்டெக்ஸ் ஃபண்டோட அதிகமாக ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் கொடுக்கறது தான் ஆல்ஃபா ரேஷியோன்னு சொல்லுவோம். இந்த க்ரைட்டீரியாலாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா அந்த ஃபஸ்ட்டு 3 க்ரைட்டீரியா வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா எலிமினேஷன் க்ரைட்டீரியா. ஓகேங்களா? ஃபண்டு வந்து 5 years கீழே இருக்குது, அசட் அண்டர் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் கம்மியாக இருக்குது, ஃப்ளெக்ஸி கேப் அதுக்குள்ளேயெல்லாம் ஃபிட் ஆகலைன்னா அதை நம்ம எலிமினேட் பண்ணிடுவோம். ஸோ எது ஃபிட் ஆகுது, இப்போ லார்ஜ் கேப்னா லார்ஜ் கேப்பில் ரிட்டர்னு, எக்ஸ்பென்ஸ் ரேஷியோ, ஷார்டினர் ரேஷியோ, ஆல்ஃபா ரேஷியோ நீங்கள் எல்லாமே வரும். அதில் வந்து எது அதிகமாக இருக்குன்னு ஜஸ்ட் ஒரு ஏரோ மார்க் கிளிக் பண்ணிங்கன்னா போதும், எது அதிகமாக இருக்குன்னு காட்டிடும். ஸோ அந்த லார்ஜ் கேப்பில் நீங்கள் ஒரு 2 மட்டும் எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னா போதும். ஸோ இது மாதிரி நம்ம ஃபண்டை செலக்ட் பண்ணிவிட்டு இட் ஹாஸ் டு பி அ டைரக்ட் ஃபண்ட், இட் ஹாஸ் டு பி அ growth oriented fund. We have to diversify the mutual funds, never more than 12 funds. ஏன்னா ஃப்ளெக்ஸி கேப்பு, லார்ஜ் கேப்பு, மிட் கேப்பு எல்லாத்துலேயும் 2 ஃபண்டு மட்டும் போடுங்க. சில பேர் எல்லாம் 50 ஃபண்டு வச்சுருப்பாங்க போர்ட்ஃபோலியோவில், அது டைவர்சிஃபிகேஷனே கிடையாது. ஏன்னா நீங்கள் மொத்த கம்பெனியும் அதுலேருந்து வாங்கியிருப்பீங்க. நோ செக்டோரல் தீமெட்டிக் ஆர் ஃபேன்சி நேம்ஸ். அவர் சார் சொன்னார் இன்ஃபோ பவர் அப்படின்னு எல்லாம் சொன்னார். நிறைய ஃபேன்சி நேம்ஸ் இருக்குது. பட் என்ன பிரச்சனைனா உங்களுக்கு வந்து அந்த சைக்கிள் ரொட்டேஷனில் ஒரு 3-4 years நாம் வந்து இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் வெளியே எடுக்கலாம்னு நினைக்கிறப்போ அந்த இன்ஃப்ராஸ்ட்ரக்சரோ இல்லை ஏதோ ஒரு தீமெட்டிக் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டோ அது கீழே இருந்துச்சுன்னா நம்மளால் எடுக்க முடியாது. உதாரணத்துக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஐடி வந்து நல்லா ஃப்ளரிஷ் ஆகிட்டு இருந்துச்சு. இப்போ எக்கனாமிக் ட்ரபிள் இருந்தங்காட்டி ஐடி ஃபண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் கீழே இருக்குது ஃபார் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் க்ளோஸ் டு 3 to 4 years. ஸோ அதுதான் வந்து இண்டிவிஜுவல் தீமெட்டிக் ஃபண்ட்ஸில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறதோட ரிஸ்க்கு. ஸோ நோ செக்டோரல் தீமெட்டிக் ஆர் ஃபேன்சி நேம்ஸ், நோ நியூ ஃபண்ட் ஆஃபர். புது ஃபண்ட் ஆஃபர் ₹1 கொடுக்குறான், ₹10 கொடுக்குறாங்கலாம் எடுக்காதீங்க. 5 years ட்ராக் ரெக்கார்டு இருந்தால் மட்டும் அந்த ஃபண்டை பை பண்ணுங்க. ரிவ்யூ ஒன்ஸ் இன் அ இயர், டெய்லி மார்க்கெட் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்க வேண்டிய அவசியம் கிடையாது. ஸோ ப்ரீஃப்லி ஐ வில் டெல் அபவுட் ஈக்விட்டி அண்ட் தென் வி கேன் க்ளோஸ் தி செஷன். ஸோ ஈக்விட்டிக்கு ஒரு சிம்பிள் நிமோனிக் இருக்குது. ஸோ ஈக்விட்டியில் நான் சொல்லிட்டேன் 7,000 கம்பெனிஸ் இருக்குது. அதில் 1000 கம்பெனிஸ் வந்து நம்ம பேக்கேஜாக இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது. அதாவது மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டு இஸ் நத்திங் பட் அன்லிஸ்டட் ஷேர் மார்க்கெட் மாதிரி. இது வந்து ஈக்விட்டி வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா லிஸ்டட் கம்பெனிஸ் தான் வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா ஷேர் மார்க்கெட்டில் ட்ரேட் ஆகிறது. ஸோ ஈக்விட்டியில் இந்த 1000 கம்பெனிஸில் ஃபஸ்ட்டு 500 கம்பெனிஸில் தான் நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ண போகிறோம். அதுக்கு we are going to apply a simple criteria called as MPTDS criteria. This is how you are going to do a fundamental analysis. ஃபண்டமெண்டல் அனாலிசிஸ்னா ஐயோ கம்பெனி பற்றி படிக்கணுமா, பேலன்ஸ் ஷீட்டை பார்க்கணுமா, இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு ரொம்ப டஃப்னு நினைக்காதீங்க. 5 பாயிண்ட் மட்டும்தான் நான் சொல்லுவேன். அதை நீங்கள் ஞாபகம் வச்சுட்டு நீங்கள் அப்ளை பண்ணிங்கன்னா ஈஸியாக ஒரு ஃபண்டை நீங்கள் ஒரு கம்பெனியை நீங்கள் அனலைஸ் பண்ணிடலாம். என்ன, அந்த கம்பெனிக்கு மார்க்கெட் கேப் வந்து 10,000 crores இருக்கணும் மினிமம். ப்ரைஸ் சார்ட் ஒரு 10 வருஷத்தோட ப்ரைஸ் சார்ட் எடுத்து பாருங்கள், அது 10 years அப் ட்ரெண்டில் இருக்கணும். டேக்ஸ் வந்து மணி அவுட்ஃப்ளோ. ஒரு கம்பெனி கவர்மெண்ட்டுக்கு டேக்ஸ் பே பண்ணா தான் அவன் நல்ல கம்பெனி, அவன் தான் ப்ராஃபிட்டபுளாக நடத்துகிறான்னு அர்த்தம். ஸோ டேக்ஸ் இயர் ஆன் இயர் இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகியிருக்கான்னு பாருங்கள். டிவிடெண்ட் சார்ஜ், டிவிடெண்ட்னா என்ன, ஒரு கம்பெனி நீங்கள் பை பண்ணுறீங்க, ரிலையன்ஸ் பை பண்ணுறீங்க, அவன் டிவிடெண்ட் கொடுக்கணும் உங்களுக்கு. டிவிடெண்ட் கொடுத்தா தான் கேஷ் அவுட்ஃப்ளோ. அவன் பணம் சம்பாரிச்சு அவன் இன்வெஸ்டருக்கும் பணம் கொடுத்தா தான் இட்ஸ் அ குட் கம்பெனி. சேல்ஸ் சார்ட் வந்து இது இன்க்ரீசிங் ட்ரெண்டில் இருக்கணும். ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட் டிமாண்ட் இருக்குதுன்னு நம்ம எப்படி தெரிஞ்சுப்போம், இயர் ஆன் இயர் சேல்ஸ் வந்து இன்க்ரீஸ் ஆகணும், அவ்வளோதான் சிம்பிள். MPTDS அப்படின்னா மார்க்கெட் கேபிட்டலைசேஷன், ப்ரைஸ், டேக்ஸ், டிவிடெண்ட் அண்ட் சேல்ஸ், அவ்வளோதான். இந்த 5 பாயிண்ட் நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா போதும், அது ஒரு நல்ல கம்பெனி நீங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். இதை அடிக்கடி பார்க்கணுமா, தேவையே இல்லை. வருஷத்துக்கு 4 ரிசல்ட் தான் கொடுப்பாங்க. அந்த 4 ரிசல்ட் மட்டும் நீங்கள் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா போதும். தொடர்ந்து ஒரு கம்பெனி 2 வருஷத்துக்கு மேலே பெர்ஃபார்ம் ஆகலை, ஜஸ்ட் 5 more minutes, பெர்ஃபார்ம் ஆகலை அப்படின்னம்னா யூ கேன் எலிமினேட் தட் கம்பெனி அண்ட் யூ கேன் ஸ்டார்ட் இன்வெஸ்டிங் இன் அ டிஃப்ரெண்ட் கம்பெனி. இதெல்லாம் வேண்டாம், எனக்கு வந்து இண்டிவிஜுவல் ஷேர் அனலைஸ் பண்ண முடியாதுன்னா நம்ம ஆல்ரெடி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ண மாதிரி மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டில் நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ண முடியலன்னா ETF இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். ETF வந்து ஷேர் மார்க்கெட்டில் ட்ரேட் ஆகும். மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நீங்கள் டிமெட் அக்கௌண்ட் இல்லாமையே நீங்கள் டைரெக்டாக போய் ஃபண்ட் ஹவுஸ்லேயே ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணி மியூச்சுவல் ஃபண்டு வாங்கிக்கலாம். ஸோ வாட் ஆர் த ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜிக் பிரின்சிபல்ஸ் அண்ட் லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ்? ஸோ 4 மெத்தட்ஸ் ஆஃப் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்டை பற்றி தான் நம்ம இவ்வளோ நேரம் பேசியிருக்கிறோம். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இஸ் பாசிவ் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட். பாசிவ் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்னா எந்த எஃபர்ட்டும் இல்லாமல் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது. ஆக்டிவ் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட்னா கொஞ்சம் லிட்டில் பிட் ஆஃப் அனலைசிஸ் பண்ணி இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறது. ஸ்விங் ட்ரேடிங்னா ஒரு ஷார்ட் டேர்முக்கு ஒரு ஷேர் மார்க்கெட்டில் ஸ்டாக்ஸ் வாங்கி விற்கிறது. டெரிவேட்டிவ் ட்ரேடிங்னா அட்வான்ஸ்டு ட்ரேடிங், அதை பற்றி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ண வேண்டாம். ஸோ பாசிவ் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் மட்டும் நம்ம இன்றைக்கி பார்ப்போம். ஏன்னா நிறையா நம்ம பேசிட்டோம். அல்டிமேட்டாக இவ்வளோலாம் கேட்டதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம எதுவுமே பண்ணலின்னா இந்த டாக் வந்து மீனிங்லெஸ் ஆயிரும். ஸோ வாட் டு பை, என்ன இன்ஸ்ட்ருமெண்ட்ஸு, கோல்டு, ஈக்விட்டி, டெட். ஒய் டு பை, என்ன பர்பஸ், growth வெல்த் கிரியேஷனுக்கு இல்லாட்டி வெல்த் ப்ரொடெக்ஷனுக்கு. வென் டு பை, எப்போ என்ட்ரி ஆகணும் அப்படின்னா சிஸ்டமேட்டிக் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பிளான். மந்த் அண்ட் மந்த் டேக் ஹோம் மணியில் நான் 25% இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ண சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அதை வந்து நீங்கள் சிஸ்டமேட்டிக் இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பிளானை மந்த் அண்ட் மந்த்தாக ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக நீங்கள் ரெஜிஸ்டர் பண்ணி அதை வந்து நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். டிப் பையிங்னா என்ன? ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட் ஒரே லீனியர் சார்ட்டில் மேலே போகாது, அப்பப்போ டிப்ஸ் இருக்கும். ஒரு 10%, 20%, 30% இருக்கும். எப்போல்லாம் மார்க்கெட் ஒரு 20% கரெக்ட் ஆகுதோ அப்போல்லாம் நீங்கள் வந்து டவுன்ஃபாலில் பை பண்ணிக்கலாம். அதுதான் டிப் பையிங். வென் டு செல், எக்ஸிட் பண்ணுறது ஆல்ரெடி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். டார்கெட்டு இல்லாட்டி நம்மளுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டைம் ஹரிசான் வந்து வச்சுக்கணும். ஹவு மச் டு பை? மோர் தென் 25% ஆஃப் யுவர் டேக் ஹோம் மணி, அட்லீஸ்ட் 25%. ஹவு டு பை? லாஜிஸ்டிக்ஸ் நீங்கள் யூடியூப்பு, புரோக்கர்ஸ், ஆன்லைன் மூலியமாகவே நீங்கள் பார்த்துக்கலாம். ஸோ த டேக் ஹோம் மெசேஜ் இஸ் பி செல்ஃப் ரிலையண்ட், ஸ்டார்ட் லேர்னிங், டேக் ஆக்ஷன்ஸ். எல்லாம் கதை கேட்டுட்டு நம்ம எதுவுமே பண்ணாமல் இருக்கக்கூடாது, மறுபடியும் ஏஜென்ட்டியே பணம் கொடுக்கக்கூடாது. ஸோ ரெகுலர் ஃபண்ட்லேருந்து நீங்கள் டைரக்ட் ஃபண்டுக்கு மூவ் பண்ணிக்கணும். தட் இஸ் த சிம்பிளஸ்ட் திங் யூ கேன் டூ ஆஃப்டர் திஸ் டாக். டைரக்ட் பிளான்ஸில் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணணும். இக்னோரன்ஸ் பிளான்ஸ் சார் ஆல்ரெடி நான் எல்ஐசி வச்சுருக்கேன், என்ன பண்ணுறது நீங்கள் கேட்டிங்கன்னா, நீங்கள் எல்ஐசியோ யுலிப்போ எடுத்து 3 இயர்ஸ்க்குள்ளே தான் ஆகுதுன்னா அது சரண்டர் பண்ணிடுங்க. டெஃபினட்டாக அதில் ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் நல்லாவே வராது. ஆனால் 3 இயர்ஸ் தான் இருக்குது, இன்னும் 3 வருஷத்துக்குள்ளே பேமெண்ட் முடிஞ்சிடும்னா அதை கன்டினியூ பண்ணுங்க. பிட்வீன் 3 to 7 இயர்ஸ்னால் அது ஒரு கிரே ஏரியா. நீங்கள் அதை கன்டினியூ பண்ணுறதா வேண்டாமான்னு முடிவு பண்ணிக்கோங்க. பட் ஒன்ஸ் வந்து இதை நீங்கள் டிஸ்கன்டினியூ பண்ணிவிட்டு டைரெக்டாக நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா ஐ எம் ஷூர் யூ கேன் கெட் மோர் தேன் 15 to 20%. whereas LICயில் யூலிப்பில் யூ வில் பி கெட்டிங் ஒன்லி 6 to 8%. ஸோ டேக்ஸ் பிளானிங் கரெக்டாக இருக்கணும், லோன்ஸ் இல்லாமல் இருக்கணும். அண்ட் தட்ஸ் இட். தேங்க் யூ ஆல் ஃபார் த பேஷண்ட் லிசனிங்.
Thank you, Dr. Jothilingam sir, for the insightful talk on this financial planning. Now, any questions are there from the floor?
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation, sir. Sir, நீங்கள் சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க அந்த லோன்ஸ் வந்து மாடர்ன் செயின்ஸ் அப்படின்ட்டு. இஃப் ஐ எம் ஹேவிங் 1 crore வச்சுக்கலாம், ஐ கேன் கோ அண்ட் பை அ ப்ராப்பர்ட்டி. பட் இஃப் ஐ கெட் அ லோன் ஃபார் தட் அண்ட் இன்வெஸ்ட் தட் அமௌண்ட் இன் ஈக்விட்டிஸ், தென் இஎம்ஐ கட்டிட்டு எனக்கு அந்த அமௌண்ட்டும் இருக்கும், இஎம்ஐ மட்டும் கட்டி எனக்கு ஹவுஸும் கிடைக்கும்ல. வை டு யூ சே தட் அஸ் செயின்?
மேடம், பேங்க்கெல்லாம் என்னென்னு நினைக்கிறீங்க? ஸோ அவ்வளோ ஈஸியாக இருந்துச்சுன்னா அவனே பண்ணிட்டு போயிடுவானே. அதை அவன் எதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 10 to 15% லோன் வந்து கொடுக்குறான். இட் இஸ் நாட் ஈஸி டு மேக் மணி ஆன் அ கன்சிஸ்டன்ட் பேசிஸ். கன்சிஸ்டண்ட்டாக இப்போ இஎம்ஐ கட்டுறது கன்சிஸ்டன்ட்டு. நீங்கள் ஒன்ஸ் ஒரு லோன் வாங்கிட்டீங்கன்னா கன்சிஸ்டண்ட்டாக மணி கட்டிக்கிட்டே இருக்கணும். வேற ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட்டில் அப்படி கிடையாது. வந்து
I have 1 crore with me.
ஓகே,
I have 1 crore with me. I'm not, the house is 1 crore. I'm not going and buying that house. I'm getting loan. அதை நான் லோன் வாங்கி இதையும் நான் வந்து ஈக்விட்டியில் போட்டுட்டு அதை இஎம்ஐ காண்டி நான் கட்டுறேன். ஸோ ஐ வில் பி மோர் பெனிஃபிட்டட்ல அப்படின்னு கேட்குறேன் பை கெட்டிங் அ லோன்.
ஸோ அதுதான் நான் சொல்கிறேன். அந்த 1 crore நீங்கள் லோன் வாங்குறீங்க இல்லைங்களா? ஸோ வாட் எவர் த இஎம்ஐ யூ ஆர் பேயிங் யூ வில் பி கன்சிஸ்டன்ட். ஸோ த ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் இஸ் நாட் கன்சிஸ்டன்ட் இன் த மார்க்கெட். ஸோ தட்ஸ் வை வி ஆல்வேஸ் டாக் அபவுட் த டைம் ஹரிசான். 7 years டைம் ஹரிசானில் தான் உங்களுக்கு இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் வந்து நம்ம வந்து ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் எடுக்க முடியும். 1 year 2 yearsல வந்து ரிட்டர்ன்ஸே வரலின்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட் சைட்வேஸாகவே போகுதுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, அப்போ வந்து யூ ஓன்ட் கெட் எனி ரிட்டர்ன்ஸ் ஃப்ரம் யுவர் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட். ஸோ இப்போ நீங்கள் 1 crore நீங்கள் இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணுறீங்கன்னு சொல்கிறீங்க பார்த்தீங்களா, லோன் எடுத்துகிட்டு, அது அப்படியே இருக்கும். ஆனால் மணி அவுட்ஃப்ளோ வந்து நீங்கள் இஎம்ஐ கட்டுறதுல போயிட்டே இருக்கும். ஸோ இட் இஸ் நாட் அட்வைசபிள் டு டேக் மணி ஃபார் இந்த மாதிரி வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா அந்த பர்சனல் இது நம்ம இன்வெஸ்ட்மெண்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு அதுதான் நான் ஃபஸ்ட் இதுலேயே என்ன பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னா யூ ஷுட் நெவர் பாரோ மணி டு இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் த ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறது. ஸோ என்ன லோன்ஸ் பெட்டர் லோன்ஸ் அப்படின்னம்னா நம்ம வந்து அந்த ஃபஸ்ட்டு ஹோம் அதுக்கு வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா நீங்கள் லோன் எடுத்துக்கலாம். ஏன்னா அது சென்டிமெண்ட் அட்டாச்டு. உங்களுக்கு வந்து பார்த்திங்கன்னா எஜுகேஷனுக்கு வந்து லோன் எடுத்துக்கலாம், ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் கட்டுறதுக்கு லோன் எடுத்துக்கலாம். நீங்கள் ஒரு செகண்ட் ஹவுஸ் கட்டுறீங்க, வாடகைக்கு விடுறீங்க, கமர்ஷியல் பர்பஸ்க்காக கட்டுறீங்க அப்படின்னா இட்ஸ் நாட் ஒர்த் இட். ஸோ அதில் எடுக்கக்கூடிய டென்ஷனு, அந்த இஎம்ஐ கட்டணும், நம்ம ஒரு கடனாளியாகவே இருக்குதுங்கிறது இட்ஸ் ரியலி பெயின்ஃபுல். அந்த ப்ராசஸ் கோ த்ரூ பண்ணவங்களுக்கு டெஃபினட்டாக அது புரியும். ஸோ அதனால் நெவர் பாரோ மணி டு இன்வெஸ்ட் இன் ஸ்டாக் மார்க்கெட். ஓகே.
Good afternoon. Like many people think trading is a gambling. I was also thinking like trading always results in loss of money and financial debt. But after attending these classes, I learned the routine investment, what we are doing is giving a very minimal returns, and those who know how to trade are earning good returns. But what we need to know is we should have a good awareness and with a good background knowledge of what is trading. As sir said, there are a lot of types of trading, and not all results in financial loss or debt. So there is one word which is said in this class like PDF, that is patience, discipline, and faith, which gives us a good return. And in many clients who visits my clinic, when I ask what they are doing, nearly one third people, particularly youngsters, are saying, I am doing trading as a full-time job or a part-time job. But at that age, I was nothing knowing about what is trading and this financial management. Nowadays, this generation is doing. So, future, I think everybody should know at least what is this field of trading, and at least we should teach our children the good and safe practices of trading with what they should have is a mind control also. Thank you, Jothilingam sir, for your informative and lucid presentation. Thanks to the organizing team. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir, for rewiring our mind with innovative thoughts. Now we request our chairpersons to honor our speaker.
Now I like to invite Dr. Raghothaman sir, HOD of Psychiatry, PhD Institute of Medical Science, Coimbatore, to honor Dr. Balasubramaniam sir. And also I like to invite Dr. ESM Saravanan sir, Organizing Chairman, to honor Dr. Navanithan sir. Thank you, sir. Now let's have a short break for tea, and I kindly request you all to assemble by 4 p.m. I kindly request you all to gather for next sessions. Moving on to our next session, Behavioral versus Substance Addictions, Neurobiological and Clinical Perspective. Let's invite our chairpersons for this session, Dr. Selvaraj sir, Founder and Director, Valikati Mental Health Center, Coimbatore, and Dr. Raghothaman sir, Professor and Head of the Department Psychiatry, PhD Institute of Medical Science, Coimbatore.
Let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Shivanand Kattimani, Professor and HOD of Psychiatry, JIPMER. Let's welcome our speaker, Dr. Shivanand Kattimani sir, Professor and HOD of Psychiatry, JIPMER.
Good evening, everyone. It's going to be another interesting topic: addiction, behavioral, and substance addiction. We make diagnosis based on clinical features, and all the current clinical features in the classification system is the same for behavioral and substance addiction. And whenever I read theory, even neurobiology also follow the same line. So we are going to have an interesting talk from Dr. Shivanand about similarities between these two addictions, both from the neurobiological angle and our clinical approach. I think it will be more useful for us to know in our day-to-day practice about the clinical approach and treatment plan. So I am also eagerly waiting for his lecture.
I am happy to introduce Dr.S.Jothilingam Kattimani, the qualification of MBBS, MD Psychiatry, and DM in Child and Adolescent Psychiatry in Nimans, Bangalore. He is Professor and HOD of Psychiatry in JIPMER, has many awards, honors, and publications, 22 years in the field of psychiatry, 100 plus indexed publications, academic editor, a member of scientific committee JIPMER. Areas of interest are stress management, research methodology for post-graduations, specific research interest, mood disorders, child psychiatry, suicide. Other areas of interest, substance use disorder, which he is going to talk to us now today. Over to Dr. Shivanand Kattimani.
Just help me with the. Okay. Yeah. So, thank you. So, what I have done is that this is next 40 minutes. Probably I'm given 1 hour, but 40 minutes I will spend on how I organize this thing. It's basically we tell about etiology of addictions, some current concepts related to that, because these are the ones which we are going to use it for newer addictions, non-substance addictions, and then summary of current existing management of addictions and addictive behaviors, neurobiology, and I'll speak specifically newer behavioral addictions. These are 3 addictive behaviors, and then their prevalence and management, and conclude it. Thanks for the introduction. They are my seniors. I know them, Professor Raman, for more than 15 years. And then I work as a professor and head of the department at JIPMER, Puducherry. I belong to Karnataka. The only connection between me and Erode, I'm lucky to come here, is Kaveri. It's a point of interest and point of contention also sometimes. So thank you. So I thank organizing committee, TN chapter IPS president, and then executive committee, and my senior colleagues and my students here for giving this opportunity to talk, because I'll always been an in the audience rather than in the speaker post. We know already substance addictions. The newer term that has come is behavioral addictions, also known as non-substance addictions. Okay. The one question is, can you have a drug-free world? Because drug menaces everywhere. Can we have a drug-free world? Because the government of India is running what is known as Rashtriya Nasha Mukti Abhiyan. That means drug-free nation. Is it possible? I see some people shaking their heads. Is it possible? Yeah, we know, but it is good to sound as a policy. There is evolutionary mechanism for this. Based on the genetic and environmental influences, we have been need some motivation to live, not just survive, to make our life more meaningful. So what has happened is that the more adaptive reward seeking that were there in the social gathering has changed over to social media. The hunting and the gameplay has changed over to video games. The use of medicinal use has changed to recreational use to abuse. And hunting and exploring has changed to video games. So what it says is that the basis for etiology or the addiction is remaining in a human blood. As long as we are going to stay, the addiction is going to be there in one or the other form. You try to restrict something, new thing will come up. That is only in a different form. That is what he's trying to say, the evolutionary mechanism. This is interesting for me. What it says is that not all people exposed to drugs of abuse become dependent. Those who are prone at risk for drug dependence, not because he has some problem, it is there in his childhood. What they're focusing is that because I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, this is very important and very drawn my attention, that whatever happens during childhood, what is known as the adverse childhood experiences. We all face some adversity during childhood before the age of 18 years. Almost 90 to 95% have at least one adversity. If you use a WHO checklist is there. But that doesn't matter. What matters is that if they have a more and more persistent adversity during childhood, now it is considered as 4 and more. That constitutes what is known as a toxic adversities, and that lead to problems. Problems in the dopamine, oxytocin, and corticoid, which are related to our changes in molecular and then changes in neuroendocrine and behavior problems. These receptors will lead to a prone for increasing changes in behavior that make them more prone for addictive experimentations or exploration to drugs. And they themselves, when they are grown up, become a poor parents. So this cycle will continue. This is another concept which I would like to draw your attention. This is called as the gateway drugs. A person doesn't become addicted suddenly to something new. He starts using something which are socially appropriate, socially not condemned, or usually in an accepted way, like nicotine, alcohol. Nobody objects usually. And in fact, we were also using nicotine so we were everywhere smoking till that prohibition came, till somebody said it is bad for your health. Then people understood, then they stopped. So these gateway drugs open a gate for all the other higher and higher forms of drugs. This is one concept of gateway drugs. Now coming to the neurobiology, this is just to refresh your mind about what are the different areas that are involved. We all know about this. Things that are important are here, this one, the ventral tegmental area, and it extends from dopaminergic pathway to the prefrontal cortex. This is the shortest one. This is known as mesolimbic pathway. The other bigger one is known as mesocortical pathway. The other one is striatum to basal ganglia. This is nigrostriatal pathway. Okay. The same thing drawn little more better for better understanding. This is the area which is we are interested in, ventral tegmental to going to nucleus accumbens. This pathway, neural pathway, is known as a reward pathway. To simplify it, this is what it is. Because these are important for understanding neurobiology. This ventral tegmental area to pathway going to nucleus accumbens and the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. This is known as a reward pathway. It feels better pathway. This is what makes a hedonistic pathway, what makes to explore things that gives us a pleasure or a reward pathway. The next line is substantia nigra to going to basal ganglia to the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, And as we all know, among all the species, the human beings are the most well developed. The well development happens because of this frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is well developed and it is not well developed in animals. So this one, I would like to draw attention to this one. This is also known as starts from cortex also, cortico-striatothalamo, again comes back. Cortico-striatothalamo, cortical loop, and this is involved in compulsions. When the initially person starts experimenting and finds something rewarding, it shifts to becoming a compulsion sometimes. This is another explanation that is given for neurobiology of addiction. As you know, addictions, we always talk about some technical words, and these technical words form, these are the holy books. ICD-10, which is developed by WHO, for all 192 countries that are adapted to our WHO, and DSM-5 is American system. But however, for exam purpose, you have to read both, and sometimes the DSM-5 is used in a research purpose, and it is very simpler in terms, and it gives almost a checklist. As we all know, most of the literature published articles come from America. When we do any research, we need to compare something, we have to do the same instrument, same skills that they have used. So we end up using DSM-5. So let us see what are the changes in this both of these things as concerns addictive disorders. So ICD-10, now it is revised into ICD-11. It has come in effect from January 2022, but not yet officially made mandatory, but all the diseases are coded for the ICD-11, for even including our mental health conditions. There are some changes I would just like to highlight. ICD-10 to ICD-11, there are changes. The change is from the terminology, title. It says now you say disorder due to substance use, because it has avoided the mental and behavioral, which is stigmatizing. And now it's called as the disorders due to substance use. There are same 10 lists are there, but one more expanded like other specified category for newer psychoactive substances and synthetic drugs. And craving is first time given importance in ICD-11. It was not there earlier. And are there any difference? Because when ICD-11 was being adopted, DSM-5 came earlier already. And instead of, they all knew probably that students or residents, doctors, psychiatrists need not have to read both the classification system. WHO said that we will align with DSM-5. So that there is overlap and almost same as in DSM-5. That promise they have kept to a certain extent. So ICD-11 and DSM-5 almost same these things, except for I would like to draw attention to these things. The new category has been included. These are disorders due to addictive behaviors in ICD-11, and in DSM-5 it's called as non-substance related disorders. Okay. So among these, they have included in ICD-11 only two conditions: gambling disorders and gaming disorders as a non-substance addictive disorders, while DSM-5 includes gambling disorder only. So others remain same thing. We talk about addictions in ICD-11 based on the use and pattern, like we use the terms acute intoxication, harmful use, and dependence use. When somebody is dependent, it's a severe form of addiction. While DSM says only substance use disorder, generic term, and based on that we can categorize mild, moderate, and severe. That's how it goes. This is another concept is known as a cycle of change, which is used widely in drug de-addiction. What it says is that if you want to develop a new behavior, or if you want to cut down your old bad negative behavior, these are the phases that a person goes through. Initially, he doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong, doesn't know the consequences. Then he thinks, yes, something may be wrong, and then he prepares for that and takes an action to either decrease or stop or change himself. And he might continue that and come out of this cycle. Sometimes he might re-enter. It's called as a relapse. So this is the trans-theoretical model developed by Professor D. Clement. It is linked with motivation for change of any of our behavior. And also it's used as a motivation enhancement therapy in drug addiction to prevent relapse prevention, and also for a drug treatment, addiction treatment. Here, we shift from this person whichever stages to the next stage so that he takes action to quit and stay away from the addiction. As of now, because the current presentation, the topic is not, this is the focus of the topic, but I have summarized taking 4 important drugs, alcohol, nicotine, opiates, and cannabis. What is the summary of how do they treat their acute treatment, long-term treatment, and harm reduction? Okay. Just to highlight few things. For alcohol, we know that we use a substitute benzodiazepines for acute management treatment withdrawal, and then long-term we use other medications, harm reduction. There are different medications. So what is trying to highlight is that these are evidence-based. For alcohol, we long-term we give acamprosert, naltrexone, disulfiram, and of course CBT and motivation enhancement therapy and relapse prevention therapy are used. For harm reduction, yes, people have advised for controlled drinking, safe drinking, but there is a debate whether it is by the industry sponsored. Okay. Next one is for nicotine. Yes, we have a nicotine replacement therapy. And varenicline, I think it's withdrawn. Bupropion and combination of nicotine replacement therapy along with medications are being used. And there is also a promotion of e-cigarettes. Now we should know that India has banned it because the research has started showing that e-cigarettes are not a safe one. People who are not at all nicotine dependent started using e-cigarettes. It was actually meant for a substitute as a harm reduction for those who are heavy smokers to shift to e-cigarettes. But what happened is that because of fancy, people who are novice, they started using e-cigarettes. And now the government of India has banned it. Now about opiates, we have opioid agonist therapy, buprenorphine, methadone. And for naltrexone can also be given as a long-acting also to prevent them. And for harm reduction, there is a OST. It's called as opioid substitution therapy, buprenorphine, methadone. And there are some countries, even France has developed needle syringe programs where there is a safe place they can come, take a new syringe and inject themselves and then stay there safe. Okay. And in fact, India also has some of the centers have started needle exchange program. They bring their contaminated needles and take the same amount of new sterilized syringes and inject, okay, so that they can inject. It is the last resort of harm reduction to them, to the family and society. For cannabis, this is no any approved medication for withdrawal treatment if it is heavily dependent. But psychological treatments are definitely available for long-term management. And off-label, there are some promising agents are coming in acetylcysteine, gabapentin, and topiramate. Educational safe mode and using a lower content THC are being promoted. We don't know who is behind this. Okay. How do they manage this drug addiction at country level? At country level, these are the major 3 strategies that they follow. One is the demand reduction. So prevent uptake of new drugs or delay the onset of use of these drugs. That's why each state has a different age cutoff to buy alcohol. They're called as illicit drugs, then recognized by the government that they can be sold. But age cutoff is there. Only 21 years old above can be purchased or 18 and above. So these age cutoff can also act as a demand reduction. Okay. And then supply reduction this is done by Narcotic Controls Bureau, where it prevents, stops, and trafficking and selling and transport of illicit drugs. India is both sides are affected by those in the countries that grow opiates and other countries that is produce actually methamphetamine. So this is a very good work done by NCB that helps in supply reduction so that drug doesn't reach a new population. Harm reduction, as I already stated, this is the last result, only to reduce the adverse health and social economic consequences of the use of drugs for the user, for their families, and as well as for the wider community. These are the generic strategies that are used at the national population level, because these are the same principles that we can use for non-substance addictive behaviors. Now let us move to addictive. So behavioral addictions are non-substance addictions. How do they differ from substance addictions? Majorly differ in these 3 things. There can be many other. This is the ones that I listed. One is that, yes, there is a compulsion to use a psychoactive substance. Here, the engagement in a rewarding behavior. Primary reinforcers, we can identify this is a substance that he is taking, but here there is no substance, there is only the behavior act itself. Physical dependence is present in substance addictions, but here it is not at all. Tolerance, here happens by, we know the tolerance is developed because when the person takes more and more quantity of the drugs. Here, he engages in more and more of that same behavior, despite negative consequences. Like more amounts, earlier he might be spending 22 hours, 2 hours, then he spends it to 6 hours. And frequency and duration increases. Withdrawal symptoms, we can see both physical as well as psychological, but here mainly are psychological. Irritability, boredom, all those things will happen. Social perception, if you see, this is a addict and drug addict and alcoholic, these are more stigmatized rather than a video game player who is addicted to video games. But in fact, we see many people in media, they highlighted, and many parents come when somebody is addicted to video games. Okay? And in adolescents, we should know that they tend to minimize their use and tend to also minimize the negative consequences happening because of the into these addictions. Public health concern, of course, there has been long-standing and well-documented for alcohol and tobacco drugs. And also there are regulatory, legal acts are already there, NDPS Act, and then for even for alcohol and drunken driving cases. Okay, but here for newer behavioral addictions, it is rising rapidly. Digital addiction, whether it is social media or gaming addiction, but there are no legal regulatory issues as such. Recently only I came to know that the government of India has made some regulations to control online gaming or rummy and other games, which even somebody put a PIL case actually for drug cricketers promoting some online gambling actually. One more thing that we forgot is that we cannot test in a lab urine or sweat that to find out this is the drug he is using. Here, because there is nothing, only behavioral addiction, that only behavior will tell us. These are the challenges and differences. Keeping in this line, the ICD-10 when it changed to ICD-11, ICD-10 did not have any non-substance addictive behavior category. Only one thing was there, the gambling was there, our seniors might know, and we also know that the gambling disorder was there, but it was kept under impulse control disorder. Now it has been moved to addictive disorder, disorder due to substance or addictive behaviors, the gambling disorder and gaming disorder. These are the only two things that have been come up in the ICD-11. And gaming disorder also specified as online and offline. Okay, and in fact, it has given an other specified and non-specified, which is a specialty of ICD-11, which you can use all the newer things which you think that is going to be there, which doesn't fit into existing ones. You can also codify there, whether it is social media addiction or pornography addiction. So these are the new things that which are highlighted. Now, ICD-11 to DSM-5, some differences just like to highlight, we already discussed. These are the major things that are related to addictive disorders. ICD-11 includes gambling and gaming disorder, and DSM-5 includes only gambling disorder. It is undecided about gaming disorder. It has included a term known as internet gaming disorder. In its appendix, in section 3 it has included. It's worth probably in a research before we include into the diagnostic system. These are the mainly gambling and gaming disorders are there. And what about neurology of addictive behaviors? Is it different from what we have for substance addictions? This involves not only the same things that are told in the neurobiological circuits, but much more larger and much more neurotransmitters. This is another one neural circuits involved in the behavioral addictions. We're just trying to identify ourselves. After going through, I came to know that we know so little about ourselves. Okay, so they're still trying to understand ourselves as human beings. So neural circuits, is there any difference between those who are using addicted to substances, those who are addicted to some behavioral addictions? What it overall it says is that as much as a reward circuit is involved, whether it is a habit shift, is a compulsion shifts to compulsions, whether it is a stress or anti-reward circuit and withdrawal, executive control, network level connectivity difference, almost there is little bit overlap is almost there. You find somewhere difference here and there, but majority they are all overlap. Just would like to highlight again, what has found is that this is the one, ventral tegmental area to nucleus accumbens. This is the mesolimbic dopamine reward pathway. This is the one which lies everywhere. Underlying principle. Now I will go to individual disorders. There are only few individual disorders are there, addictive disorders that are recognized. I already told about gambling disorder and gaming disorder, right? So gambling, we all know, it is involvement into persistent and recurrent problematic gambling behavior leading to clinically significant impairment or stress. But we hardly see in our clinic. When we saw one or two cases a long time back, we didn't know what to do. But when we know that, the only time they come is that when they don't have any money left. Okay, they lost everything, then now depressed and sad, they might come. If they have money, they wouldn't have come. Okay, so that is the stage. So prevalence, it says that around 1 to 7%. The first line treatment evidence base is only psychological. Cognitive behavior therapy, its modifications used and motivation interviewing based on the stage of cycle change. That's what you need to engage in. And first line treatment by pharmacological wise, the opioid antagonists are showing some benefit and relief because there is endogenous opioid system that is involved in the reward pathway. So this nalmefene and naltrexone, these are opioid antagonists. They are showing a very remarkable change. But the only problem is that because of, even though they have a beneficial tolerance or intolerance, sorry, the people are usually drop out of that when they are under treatment. The other second line treatment are SSRIs and mood stabilizers can be given. If these are beneficial only if we know that there is a comorbid other disorders are there. Maybe a soft bipolar, maybe depression, okay, or dysthymia, then these might be helpful. The people who are trying experiments are some small, these are like a case report or case series. They have found some benefit from memantine, amantadine, even N-acetylcysteine, which is also used in cannabis dependence, bupropion, olanzapine, and neuromodulation, of course, RTMS and DTMS. Okay, so almost like we'll target your area which you want to take it stimulated from outside. We'll stimulate it. So if you're saturated, you don't go for other addictions. Could be that could be one of the logic. Other adjunctive are similar to that to what we tried in Alcoholic Anonymous. There's a Gamblers Anonymous, which can be of some benefit and used along with other therapy. Interest-based CBT and stress management interventions. Overall, they're trying to improve coping. Combined approach has also been tried with some benefits. Okay, coming to the gaming disorder. This is recognized by ICD-11. But DSM-5 has not yet recognized it. There is an impaired control over gaming, and this priority is given to gaming over other life activities. And they continue despite negative consequences. And these three core criteria are enough to diagnose somebody has a gaming disorder. In fact, as I said earlier, adolescents and young try to minimize their use, the time of use, and minimize the negative consequences because they will not be sleeping at night time, their academics is gone, but they tend to minimize. So that's what much other information from teachers and parents are definitely required to diagnose gaming disorders there. Then gaming disorder also, you have online and offline. Why do we need this? This German researchers proved that this online and offline, specifying that gaming disorders online and offline is very important because those who found that online, they are much more severely affected and they had much more severe complications and poor prognosis. So this specifier is valid. So whenever somebody is using a fulfilling criteria for gaming disorder, whether it's using a desktop or a gadget or on a mobile, find out whether it is only downloaded video game and playing it or in online gaming is involved. Prevalence is 3.5 to 8.5%. One thing I would like to highlight your attention is that this is very much high in among the Asian countries. Though the internet is there and wide coverage is there in the Western countries, and we're also jumping into that level, getting internet connection. But if you see, the highest is in China, Korea, and Singapore. In fact, Singapore has reported internet gaming disorders 10.3, one of the highest in the world. So how do you treat this gaming disorder? Because these Asian countries are affected now, and this literature is coming from one country in Asia. Can you tell that which country? Of course, it comes from China. Okay. So first line is, for this gaming disorder, first line of treatment is CBT, group counseling, and cognitive behavioral interventions. Craving behavioral intervention. This is a new modality they have found. Craving behavioral intervention and acceptance and restructuring intervention program, which we also not come across. And second line, this can also be tried: exercise, intervention, or psychosocial interventions. Of course, for me, it appears that any treatment can work, provided he is able to engage with the treatment, provided we are able to give him time, provided he is able to say and abide by as his parents want. Okay. And this others happen when there is a comorbidity, including RTMS and CBT, electropuncture and CBT also are beneficial and found a very large effect size when treated this group of adolescents, and experimental pharmacotherapy and neuromodulation being tried. And this first line treatment with the RTMS and CBT has come from China. This is the one thing, the only two are there. This is a compulsive sexual behavioral disorder. I would like to include this also here, because this ICD-10, it is not in the addictive behavior condition. It is kept under impulse control disorder. But it has all the features of OCD, all the features of addictive behavior. So it is included in ICD-11 under the impulse control disorder. There is excessive time spent in planning, engaging in sexual behavior, use of sex to regulate dysphoria, stress, and repeated failed attempt to reduce the behavior. Amounts to 3 to 5%, but this literature has come from Western countries. And treatment first line is CBT and acceptance and commitment therapy and psychoeducation. SSRIs are also been tried to a certain extent benefits, along with naltrexone. Other adjunctive have been tried, mood stabilizers and then anti-craving agents and neuromodulation. Remember that this compulsive sexual behavioral disorder is not addictive behavior in ICD-11. It is in the impulse control disorder. And DSM-5 has not yet accepted. This proposal went to DSM-5. DSM-5 said, no, we cannot include it. We don't know each person's satiety and for sexual behavior changes differs. We don't know whether it's a normal behavior or pathologizing it. So this is not yet accepted in DSM-5. So to conclude, these are the confirmed behavioral addictions: gambling and gaming. Emerging situational addictions are coming from social media addiction, internet, exercise, work, pornography, and we're also thinking about investment. We're trading, whether it also can become addictive behavior. Luckily, future, one thing I would like to highlight is that AI model addiction is likely to definitely come. We have whatever you want, we can prepare AI model. Virtually, sometimes it will come to our home. Prevention definitely should, the principles earlier are stated for any addictive disorders like supply reduction, demand reduction through education, and legal restriction should be followed. In fact, China has started. It doesn't allow beyond a particular time to use, because every mobile, you know that you have to thumb or face recognition is there. When it faces certain hours, it shuts down. You cannot use it for next day till the next day comes. So to conclude again, I said that there is no psychoactive substance use in addictive behavior. It's the behavior that stimulates itself, and there is no much withdrawal, and there are no legal terms on how to restrain these conditions. Non-pharmacological interventions remains mainstay. For these are non-substance addictions, we also need a behavioral interventions only. research is mainly coming from, I'm happy, but I'm surprised also to see that it is coming from the Asian countries because they're more affected. If you see the research related, most research comes from United States. Now the shift is changing. You know where the research is coming from? I already told you, it's coming from China. And I was surprised also to find that India is number 3 now in number of scientific outputs, not political psychiatry, but scientific outputs in the published journal articles. We need to do more research. This is one thing which you always get confused. Just one slide I wanted to show you too. These are all things: internet gaming disorder, internet addiction, social media addiction, mobile addiction. These are all terms different people. They use it for different research purposes. Overall, let them dump it under technology addiction. Okay. And only one thing that we recognize is internet gaming disorder and gambling disorder. Okay. Gaming and gambling, these are the only two things that are recognized. DSM-5 even doesn't recognize it. It has said that let us do further research. So what we know is that different generations, you find out which generation you belong to. I definitely belong to Generation X. So different generations will have different circumstances, different challenges, different advantages. Okay. So when the previous speaker said that younger generation know more about trading, they are into full blown, that is taken out of the occupation. We don't know anything about it. So different generations will have different advantages and different challenges. So this is the last slide that we are taught about gateway drugs, we are aware. But keeping a boy or a girl safe in the room so that we are preventing this external. But we don't know that the enemy is within. So that is the one message I would like to say here. So with this, I will stop it here.
Thank you very much for your informative, enlightening presentation. Particularly, you are highlighting of adverse childhood experiences and insecure childhood attachments. They are a critical element which we don't seriously look for in dealing with addictions. And delaying the age of onset of use of drugs has a critical importance because the young brains are vulnerable, more vulnerable than adult brains, grown-up brain. And this online-offline gaming distinction and its significance is really highlighted well. This compulsive sexual behavior moving into impulsive spectrum, it's tricky. It has both obsessive compulsive features and as well as addiction features. And for a feature which is common in all addiction is relapses. Would you like to say a few words about that?
I don't know if anybody has experienced it, they can speak because I already spent. But relapses, yes, sir, I agree. Treating them is first is a difficult thing, and relapse is almost 80 to 90% substance we know. But here also, I think the same thing is going to happen. I think.
Floor is open for comments, questions.
Thank you, sir, for the thought-provoking session. Now I request the chairpersons to honor the speaker.
Thank you, Shivanand. Excellent presentation. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I'm honored to have you as a chairperson.
Thank you.
We would like to invite Dr. Kumanan sir, retired professor and head of the department, Madurai Medical College, to honor Dr. Selvaraj sir. And we also like to invite Dr. Vishwanathan sir, head of the department, Tirupur Medical College, to honor Dr. Raghotaman sir.
Thank you, sirs. Now we will have the last session on digital age, families, parenting, privacy and emotional distance. Let's invite our chairpersons for this session. Dr. Arun Kumar sir, Secretary, Indian Psychiatry Society, Tamil Nadu Chapter and Senior Psychiatrist, Atma Hospital.
And we also welcome Dr. P.P. Kannan sir, the Professor of Psychiatry, Institute of Mental Health, Kilpak.
We invite the speaker of the session, Dr. Raman sir, Professor, Department of Psychiatry, Savitha Medical College and Hospital, Chennai.
So, good evening, everybody. This is the last session of the day. Am I right? Yes. So, I think this would be a very interesting session. This would be about doing parenting in the digital age. Topic is digital age families, parenting, privacy, and emotional distance by Professor Dr. Raman. I think this is very important topic. Every one of us having been through that parenting. See, you all know how difficult it is to manage children, right? See, it is not that easy to snatch a mobile from the child or to instruct a child to restrict your mobile use because things had changed. Those days when parents are coming, we would have kept our legs down, we would have avoided a cross-legged sitting. Nowadays things had changed. Now, we have to expect respect from children to that level where the balance is maintained. When things had changed this way, then what to expect from children? The common era, before common era, the division of history had changed into the generations are divided by the X generation, Y generation, Gen Z, Alpha generations. When we divide the period based on technology, I think this is very important topic. We expect Raman would be doing, expecting Raman would throw more clarity on this. I expect a co-chairperson to introduce the speaker.
Good evening, everyone. I very privileged to introduce Professor Raman. We all know him. He is an opening batsman in most of the midterm CMEs and even both in state as well as zonal level. And he is a current professor of psychiatry and HOD in Savitha Medical College. Many awards and his lectures will be very crisp, clear and more academic as well. So we expect more and over to sir.
So, good evening, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizing committee of Tamil Nadu Practitioner CME, being held in Erode, and president of TN chapter of IPS, and all the senior members and the teachers here. So, thank you for this opportunity. So, I would like to actually ask, as we just approach towards the end of the day, I think from finance to actually future minds, there is one F that is going to connect these two F. So that is actually family. So any adolescent in an Indian population setting, I think they cannot voluntarily come for any psychiatric counseling or psychiatric consultation without a family support. So even an adolescent might be willing to actually come for a consultation or take a consultation online with a psychiatrist. But will that be allowed by our Indian family setup? Or if at all an adolescent or a child has to voluntarily come for a consultation for depression, or if they think that I need to talk to somebody neutral, so can they come alone in our setting? Any thoughts on it? As far as Indian setting goes, generally we have come across like adolescents who cannot actually come independently for consultation. So although technology has advanced, even to actually pay for the online consultation, still teens are actually dependent on parents. So it is going to be family centric as far as India is concerned. But as we are globally evolving, we are going to have actually like a Western influence even in this, in terms of counseling taken by adolescents, or like we are even actually looking at adolescents who have started earning for their pocket money, and with that pocket money they are actually able to get online consultation with for their own concerns and difficulties. So this will be the outline of my presentation. So I'll just give a brief introduction of what is the concept of family as such in the digital era. And there is an interesting family framework that I actually found out as I searched through the literature. It's called Digital Family Framework. And so I'll just be highlighting more on digital parenting practices and how in the digital era, how parenting styles have to be modified to ensure safe online practices by the adolescents and children. And there is a concept of emotional detachment which is evolving in the current generation that's being talked about. It's called emotional distance. Why, in spite of everything being provided, the adolescent feels less motivated, the adolescent feel left out in the family. So I'll just be briefly touching on that. And what are the clinical implications for practice? So as practitioners, I think most of you would agree that although you might be seeing more of adult with the psychiatric conditions, or unless otherwise somebody is narrowing down to child and adolescents, but you would be seeing of late that there is an increasing number of adolescents stepping into your clinical practice. I think you will all agree that many adolescents are actually being brought by the family members for consultation. So, and either by your own adult patients who might be actually opening up the discussion on, my child is behaving like this, my adolescent boy is actually unable to make career decision, or a child is spending excessive time on mobile. So this conversation would definitely come, so you can never escape this kind of discussion in your practice, even though you want to actually restrict to only seeing adult patients. So this is going to be actually spreading across all our practice. So it is imperative that we have some brief idea about this. So this is something which you would actually, I think some of you would agree that our concept of traditional family system is currently changing with westernization. So westernization is not only influenced in technology, but even our family system and family practices have been influenced. You can just see that we have just moved on from joint family system to nuclear family system. And now we have just moved on from nuclear family system to concept of cohabitation. And some of you would be also encountering adult parents bringing their own adults, so in 25 years or 30 years, either male or female, saying that they're not willing for marriage. They're not interested in getting married. So marriage is considered as an option. So now that's another problem that Gen Y parents will have to face as they are actually dealing with Gen Z actual children. So that is one thing that we will have to actually keep in mind. An increasing age of marriage and decreased fertility rates is another area of concern. So we must be aware that there is a huge increase in the number of fertility centers, artificial reproductive techniques, and definitely childlessness is becoming an issue. So we are looking at where is this family concept going towards. So are we really looking at family construct at all? So do we, in next 10 years down the line, what will be considered as family? Okay, so that is a big question that we will all be faced with. Decline in intergenerational households. So I think like nowadays the grandparents are actually, wherever grandparents are available, what they are actually looking at is like the grandparents are the only source of providing emotional comfort to their children and adolescents. So like where both the parents are working, so like there is a huge decrease in the intergenerational household. So definitely parents and grandparents are staying separately, or they move out of the country and they stay abroad. So this is another area of concern where it will affect the family concept. And there's changes across society, economic changes, political changes. This is also having a deeper impact on the family concept system. And we are all getting immersed ourselves into the digital world. So this is how actually family system is going to keep changing. So how many of you would agree that like we can do away with the digital tools? We can still live a peaceful life. We can just have a better life without using any digital media with the current generation. So we will all agree that it is going to be very difficult because most of the school related homeworks are being sent through online media. So I think like children, it is very difficult to even observe whether they are actually doing a homework or actually they are actually peeping into any of the websites. It's going to be very, very difficult and a very challenging task. So we'll just find out like ways how we can actually do that. What all families use digital methods for. So these are all the possible ways that actually families are also resorting to digital ways of actually using the media. One is to search for parenting strategies. How many of you are aware of the different types of parenting? What was talked about like when we were actually reading or when we are still teaching is that the traditional 4 types of parenting styles: authoritative parenting, authoritarian parenting, permissive parenting, and negligent parenting. Okay. So these are the 4 types that we always talk about. But there are new names that are evolving in the literature. Like I think, how many of you are aware of this concept called antenatal parenting? Ideally, we all do secondary prevention. I'm sure like we'll all agree. Primary prevention and primordial prevention is very, very less. So ideally, parenting is not about like when you have actually reared a child and then when they are brought with an adolescent behavioral problem, you actually ask them to change. So that is going to be a very, very difficult task because there's this concept called as conscious parenting. Conscious parenting means every parent should be aware of their behavioral control strategies. Periodically, they should reflect back on themselves and figure out what they are doing and what consequence it is having on the child and adolescent. They'll have to reflect back and keep changing. So that is the best way of actually going forward because that's called conscious parenting. This will happen with people so-called with like intact mental health or ideal mental health. So in case if the parent is also having an underlying psychological disturbance or a psychiatric disturbance, then that's going to be very, very challenging. So these 2 concepts are very, very interesting because it's called as conscious parenting, where the parents self-reflect themselves. Antenatal parenting, it's more to do with a preventive approach for emerging behavioral problems. Rather than actually figuring out as the child gets into problem, you compare with the peers and figure out in the internet. You can always equip yourself well in advance and then like actually be mentally prepared to actually face the challenges. So this concept is evolving. There are actually modules available for parents who are actually becoming first time pregnant. So they are also teaching antenatal period itself, the parenting strategies. So which is again something very new and interesting. So they just don't search only for parenting strategies. They just like family connect and bond through. I think like there is always this joke, right? So like each one will be sitting in each room and they'll all connect through Zoom meeting and they'll be like engaging in a conversation on where to go, what to do and everything. So the family connect and bonding happens through online. Family groups to facilitate network. We all are part of family groups. I'm sure we will all agree. You will be made to be added in any one of if you step out of any one group, then you will be getting a call. What happened? So why are you actually stepping out? So you will be re-added in any group. I think this happens in all the groups. Families also have groups. So this is supposed to facilitate network. I think the one concept that I do not like is like condolences sent in this is my personal opinion. Condolences sent in the group like, okay, rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in peace. I used to wonder like how this person who is going through a grief, the family who is going through a grief, will have patience to go through all the condolences who is sent by whom. So this will always like, why can't somebody just like go and meet somebody and just express their condolences in person? So this is something that is actually coming up in family groups also. Family tutoring. I have a lot of medical college students who are actually coming from like their parents stay abroad. So there are people actually, doctors' parents who stay like abroad, and they will be actually taking anatomy classes like through a Zoom session. So this family tutoring is happening for people who are staying at a distance. Okay, so even for that, like online education is happening. And this is one area which I found it very interesting. Say, for example, many times like for children who are adopted, like they are not aware of their own biological parents. So this technology facilitates them to actually explore their own biological parents, and that creates a lot of actually, so they can even reach out to them. Okay, so that is how these tools are available, and there are advantages and disadvantages. So the family system plays a very, very significant role in childhood and adolescence. As Dr. Shivanand sir was saying, actually, it has a long way to actually influence lot of like, or even prevent lot of psychopathology in children, future adulthood. So we are all aware of it. So poor functioned family has been strongly associated with childhood adversities. Antisocial tendencies in children and juvenile delinquency has been observed in families who have followed negligent parenting styles. So where there is negligent family style, like there are some certain deviant behaviors that have been observed based on studies. Whereas what is consistently proven is there is quality of nurturance and good family function that has been found to play a significant role in reducing suicidal behavior as well as like mood disorder among adolescents. So I'm sure like we all have heard about family therapy, but now what is the additional role of the family therapist would be to also help family reflect on technoference. Can everybody say what is technoference? Any idea? So technoference is like because of the technology, how the interpersonal interaction is getting affected within the family. So that is called as technological interference. So that's why they say technoference. So ideally, if you are going to see an adolescent or a family in your clinical setting, you need to be aware of the usage of technology by each of the family member and for what all they use. So this is the basic information that we need to collect if at all you're going to do a family counseling. So I'm sure like it is going to be very difficult. Any adolescent stepping into your clinic is going to take a lot of time. Particularly if their family comes, it's going to just like consume more time. So I think you need to actually adapt your session in such a way that like the goal of the session has to be very, very clearly defined whenever we are going to deal with adolescents and when they come with parents. So this is an interesting framework that I'm not going into details. I'll just say that how digital world has influenced the family framework. So you can even start from at the micro level, like you will have from family relationships, either for like fulfilling family functions. You can actually go to the meso level where family is exposing their family life to the social media. Okay, so that's at the meso level. Whereas at the macro level, it is to the society as well as for the economic system. So they have just constructed this framework where digital life, without digital life, you cannot actually function. None of the system in the environment also will function. So before we go into what is this concept of digital parenting, I just want to highlight one important concept given by WHO. It's called positive parenting. Whenever parents bring children or adolescents for behavioral disturbance, I think it is one important step that we all can actually try doing is explore their parenting strategies and how they were actually parented during their childhood and adolescence. This is a simple thing because like many a times parents resort to actually parenting strategies imposed on them. Probably we just look at like diagnostic conundrum means anancastic father bringing up a child, and then this man who becomes a father imposes the same anancastic set of rules on the current child or adolescent. So whereas the goodness of between this anancastic father and the adolescent is not matching, not because the adolescent is problematic, just because the father is too strict. Okay, so we need to reflect back on this for the father. Okay, so that will actually help ease problems for this adolescent rather than blaming the adolescent and labeling the adolescent. So this is basically one step is to reflect back on their adolescent, what was their parenting strategy or how they were reared. So positive parenting should focus on these components. One is there should be lot of stimulation and affection given for like positive stimulation and affection should be main area of quality parenting time. Clear and focused praise, support increasing autonomy, encourage healthy habits. There should be a goal setting, establish firm rules and consequences. So this is what is ideal parenting is all about. So if you just look at ideal parenting, these 5 components should be there. One is there should be a connection. There should be a behavioral control, respect for autonomy or individuality, modeling, and provision and protection. So any parent should display these traits so that the adolescent role model these behaviors and then like there will be less problematic behaviors. So that is what is like being talked about. And one of the component that has been repeatedly addressed in the literature and even in the clinical setting, what is proven is direct communication and healthy interaction pattern with an adolescent will go a long way in actually correcting adolescent behavioral problems. So even with children or adolescent, the most important factor that has been identified is not restriction. So it is all about like explanation, encouragement, and direct interaction and open communication. This is what has been repeatedly talked about rather than like if at all a child is engaging in like viewing some pornographic content, the first step the parents does is like remove the mobile from the adolescent or the younger age group children. This restrictive measure is not going to be yielding. The child will become more secretive or the adolescent will become more secretive. This is what has been found in literature as well as if you just see in a clinical setting, but it varies from families to family. But many times it just found that more restrictive measures will make the child or adolescent more secretive. So this is what is digital parenting is. So it is going to be like nowadays, like we just find out that like as teachers, we are having multiple hats. As parents, they also have multiple hats. All of us should equip ourselves with the technology. So this is like parents equipping themselves with digital knowledge. So that is what is simple about digital parenting. They are just supposed to actually comprehend, support, and regulate children activities in digital environment. They should supervise children's online activity. They should balance between supervising versus enabling. What you can permit, what you should supervise. This balance is what is actually supposed to be good for an ideal parenting. Competency to address risks, challenges, and opportunities. Say, for example, if a child is or an adolescent is facing an online threat, online bullying, or online sexual issue, then the parent should be equipped with the knowledge to actually protect the child, help the child to face that crisis also. So dual role the parent has to actually fail. That's why knowledge about digital practices is very important for the parent and bridge the digital generation gap. So this is how the current system is like. So the millennial parents or the Y generation parents are trying their level best to match the digital natives children, but we are still far off. So these are the forms of digital impact. Can anybody say what is the name given for this? Parents, if they are excessively involved. We are looking at adolescents involving too much in internet and parents trying to mediate it. Now we are also looking at a group of parents who are excessively involved in watching mobile, YouTube, scrolling down as soon as they come back from office or work or even in the late night. We are looking at a different set of parents which is actually affecting the interpersonal relationship with us. Adolescent. Such adolescents are more prone for feeling emotionally deprived. So that is what like we'll have to be careful also. If an young adolescent or a teen is brought for depression, I think like we will be treating for biological depression, syndromal depression. But if at all the environment is contributing, we can always look at the parental interaction pattern or the family dynamic pattern. So in that, if the adolescent says that like they both are actually involving, I want to talk to them, I want to have a common meal time, but the parents are actually spending more time on the mobile. That's called as pubbing. Okay. So it's called parents are involved too much in actually internet. Parents posting child information on the internet, which is affecting child's privacy. So we are all looking at parents, actually adolescent like will not be comfortable enough if at all the parent doesn't knock. We have come across adolescents in clinical setting where they expect the parents to actually knock the door and step in. When they think that like the parents think that they are actually doing homework or school related work, but actually the parents are supposed to knock the door and ask permission and then get in. So these are all like Western independent privacy, autonomy, and all those things. Many times studies also have looked at like my parents, adolescents did not like a computer or like a desktop being placed in the hall where they will be supervised by the parents behind. So this is another area where they think that like privacy is my right, not like your right to actually monitor. So it is my right. So this is again a balance that we need to strike. Many times it might be very difficult to monitor what they are actually watching or engaging in any text chats or posting videos like those things are all very difficult to monitor if they emphasize on privacy. So this is called sharing thing. This sharing thing is a concept where parents post a lot of information. This is the reverse I'm talking about, but whenever you are looking at the family dynamics, we need to be actually aware of this also. This disruption of interpersonal interactions due to technology is called as technoference. So all these things are all digital impact on the family. So we need to consider whenever we're looking at educating the parents on parenting styles as well as how to have a digital control. So this is a very interesting survey that I actually found. So if you just look at this, I'm just not going to the details, but what has been repeatedly found to be very positive is encouraging child self-disclosure if the child has actually visited a website, pornography, or if at all the child has actually texted their friends or sent a request to a stranger or got a request from a stranger in online and then it got accepted and the child is apprehensive. So encouraging child self-disclosure has been found to be very, very positive in terms of dealing with digital control. The second one is teaching them parenting boundary negotiation will be helpful. So parent to teen should sit together and negotiate on what is actually their personal boundary, what is boundary like which is actually blurring of boundaries in digital world. So digital world boundary is very, very difficult to actually delineate. So discussion of adolescence on anything that is actually boiling down to open discussion is what the survey also actually points out. So if you just look at this, they'll have to have conversation about privacy as the adolescents step into actually we just talked about good touch, bad touch much earlier. So we also need to talk about these educations like as we actually rear the adolescents or children. So as early as 7 years, 8 years, we can actually provide this information on like how to talk about what are all the general rules that will prevail in the house about privacy setting, digital identities, safety, and we'll also have to equip ourselves periodically about privacy literary development. So we also have to, as parents, we also have to actually equip ourselves with the knowledge and skill. So these are all the strategies that has been found to be actually useful for when you are actually coming across a child or an adolescent who is engaging excessive time on mobile or digital media or Facebook, scrolling pages. These are the complaints. I think we need to have a clear limit setting. So limit setting is, I think it is very, very difficult because like when they have crossed, many a times what happens is parents when they bring it is already very late. So that scenarios, it's very, very different to be dealt with where complete detox should happen. So we call it as like we need to admit such adolescents like where there is complete school refusal and constant engagement in like social media or digital devices. But if it is in a much earlier stage, if the parents identify, I think it is better that they do what is called as limit setting. Limit setting is like hours defined. And it should, sometimes they say that like in Western culture, like we don't follow here actually, we need to have an agreement. Both the parent and the child or an adolescent should have an agreement that like I will start using this particular time and I will just like give the mobile back this time. during this particular time, or if there is a delay, the parent should not react harshly with me. It also determines the parental behavioral control practices also in that agreement. But here it is all oral. From in the Indian setting, it is all oral. So we can decide on content specific rule setting. You can talk with them. You can just tell them that this specific content we are going to actually filter, or we are going to place filter on this specific content. You will not be able to access it. Tell them openly, and then like you will actually engage in, okay, you can use the mobile or the desktop. Co-use and like hovering is something like where there will be, you will be actually sitting and watching what they will be actually observing. So say for example, if the child has to search for something actually online for their homework, you can sit next to them and say that, okay, we both will search together. Related to academic tasks, we will be searching together. Related to actually seeing some YouTube video of this content, you will watch alone. So this will be the agreement that you will have to actually enter into with them. Then encouragement, filtering, hovering, instruction, monitoring, everything has to be pre-decided. Where I will actually monitor, where I will actually sit along with you, where I will actually allow you to use. These three things have to be clearly defined. So this is what is actually, will actually be successful, provided, again, the other problem with parents is, when they actually say something, there is consistency that needs to be emphasized by parents with adolescents. So it is not like, okay, one time I say, you listen and you follow. That will never work. So you need to redo the rules, change the rules at times, and then you will have to actually engage in an agreement again and again and again. So this process is called as mediation. So this is what is talked in digital control. Mediation means entering into conversation periodically. Say for example, this time the adolescent will agree. So subsequently, you figure out that through their Facebook, they have actually created another account through which they are actually encountering all new friends. So then you will have to actually redo this and engage in a conversation with the adolescent. So this is what is called as, this process is called as mediation, which has to be actually taught to the parents. You can even role play that with the parent in your clinical setting and say that like, this is how you do a mediation with an adolescent. You can demonstrate that with the adolescent. Parents will observe how you are actually doing this, and then they will go and actually redo the process whenever issues happen in the home setting. So this again is very important. I think role modeling. So everything boils down to, we just always know that like appropriate behaviors are actually modeled from parents. So many a times we see that the parents involve in lot of actually digital usage in the family, which is actually role model. So I think there should be a family rule, and even there is something called as family digital detox. So where they will do is like one Sunday, we will all actually go out. We will not be engaging in any mobile usage. So that can be also part of the family activity. So the family activity where there will be a group activity where the mobile usage will be very, very less. So these are all opportunities that is created for the adolescent and children, that like there are activities beyond mobile world. But that has to be actually role modeled by the parents. So this is what is mediation I just told. They will have to create rules, mindful media plans with children, focusing on developmentally informed, individualized approaches rather than blanket restrictions. We are not, blanket restrictions, it's going to be very difficult. So you are actually not engaging with an adolescent in any conversation. So why, what, and how children engage with media is very, very important. At the same time, you need to balance autonomy and protection. So this is again one of the survey which talks about what was the perspective of parents and teens on privacy. This is teens' perspective on privacy. That's the parents' perspective on privacy. As far as teens, they felt that like, this is my personal space, so they should not actually interfere. The parents should have trust on me. And this is like, it will actually foster responsibility on me, what to view and what not to view. It will give me a responsibility on, okay, I should not view this. I will take individual decisions on it. So my personal space should be respected. And it is a human right. This is how it is. But this is not like, as I was telling you, anything with the adolescent or children, it's not going to be fixed. It will keep changing. So it depends on the age, maturity, financial independence, whether they are starting college. All these things will determine their privacy rights as well as their parenting styles. I have come across a lot of actually vulnerable young medicos who are entering into medical colleges. Say, for example, 18 years, they just enter into MBBS. They are already actually diagnosed to have some like mental illness and in the past, and they were actually treated in the past. And they come here and they break down within 6 months or 1 year. And the only way that we have actually pushed them through the final year and internship is the families would come from, like, these are all hostlers. Like, I think I've come across a student who was actually broke down within 6 months. And the parent came all the way quitting their job from Assam, and they stayed with the with the adult. And then they just made him complete the MBBS over the past next 5 years, ongoing treatment with the psychiatry. So it's like, with the support of the family only, like I think the entire process was actually possible. So we are actually coming across a lot of children and adolescents going through this. Without support of family, it's going to be very difficult. So the privacy concerns also, adolescents do not like not only their mobile phone, even their drawers, computers. This was again the survey. Cell phone, diary, papers, bedroom should not be actually stepped into. Friends on Facebook, teens password, checking phone bill, all these things are considered as areas of privacy. Okay. So these are all the summary of the mediation styles that parents can resort to. There are 3 types of actually mediations you can do. One is limiters, who are strict restrictors. The second one is enablers, who allow open access to everything. Okay, let the children learn on their own. Let their adolescents learn on their own. Let the life teach their own lesson for the adolescents. The last one is mentors. So ideal is like what we talk about authoritative, authoritarian. As far as the digital life is concerned, you can have enablers, mentors, or limiters. But like mentor style is all about guidance and open communication, which is associated with the most positive outcomes for children. So I think it is better that I think like there are new terminologies. I will just like tell you that something called lighthouse parenting. Lighthouse parenting means as the lighthouse is standing on the beachside, no? So the parent will be actually sitting and watching, sitting and observing. Whenever there is a crisis, the parents will step in and guide the child. That's called lighthouse parenting, they say. Whereas there is something called helicopter parenting, where the parents will continuously hover over the child, which means that they will monitor what they are doing. They will install all the apps, track whatever websites they have actually been seeing. All these are considered as like pathological kind of actually parenting styles. And many parenting styles are described, but these are all the 2 opposite sides. Lighthouse parenting is stepping in whenever the child has a problem, whereas the helicopter is continuously monitoring. Okay. This is for people who are really interested. You can actually use in the research setting, or there's something called parent mediation scale and parent monitoring scale to assess adolescents' perceived parent supervision. So these are all like you can actually allow the parents to actually administer to themselves and find out like what kind of style that you are actually adopting. There is a digital parent inventory style scale also. So they'll be subjecting themselves and then find out like what kind of parent they fall into and what remedial measures that they have to actually take. So to just like conclude, I just wanted to come out with some studies and challenging situations in practice that I think people would have come across. I would request if at all people have come across. Your teenage son posts images and content that you find inappropriate. You ask him to delete the images and comment, but you are worried because he may have done this before and could reproduce it in the future. So if at all you come across any parent coming with like concerns about their adolescents post on the social media, so how do you actually approach such parents, or what are all the suggestions that you can actually do? I'll just post another scenario also. Your teenage daughter has over 500 friends on her social media account, and she seems terribly secretive about her social media active. How to have a conversation without affecting her privacy? There are parents who create an account and send friend requests to their own children, and they will monitor their account. Okay. Or there are like you can actually send friend requests and find out like text and all those things. So all these things are actually parents also will try, as the adolescents also try out a secretive way. Parents also will just like try to actually find an alternative way. So best thing is to, whenever parents come with like some complaints about the digital control concerns, ask them to have reflection. That is most important. It's called as parental reflection. Are you overreacting? Is it considered norm for the peer age group of your adolescent? Is it too much for? Have you encountered any inappropriate message by yourself? Is there any other change in the recent change in the behavior that you observe? So these questions will just make them think, am I emotionally reacting to a situation which I had accidentally seen and going to create a problem, or I have to step back, think and then reflect back and then take a certain decision. So many times parents would actually emotionally also react. So it is better that we have to teach them what is called as digital parenting strategies. So you can actually ask them to set privacy settings while sharing personal. So you can actually ask them to communicate on what is personal information, what is not personal information, what is personal information about you and about family. So some teenagers have the capacity to share their images, and they will also share the entire family posts, pictures also. So you need to tell them even about family is considered as personal. Review the data protection and privacy information available on social media and gaming platform. So you will have to teach them, periodically you go through this, so that like you will also be aware of it and I will also be aware of like what settings changes are happening. But I will not unnecessarily intrude. Discuss your family expectations and values about online sharing. You can also discuss about what your family views this as. Online sharing of videos and what kind of content that you are actually sharing. Conversation, nothing can beat with an open communication. Open the conversation, rather outright restriction. Understand the reasons behind her secrecy or so many online friends. This will give a clue about probably the other the trigger factors or whatever stressful life events or emotional disturbance that the child or adolescent may be going, which the child or adolescent has not opened up. Educate, ensure if they are aware of the privacy settings and their online acts. If not, reiterate that information. Make available trusted adult or relative to talk or share information. You can even provide information on, say for example, if you're comfortable with your teacher, you can actually share this information or get information, guidance. Or if you're uncomfortable with me, I will just refer to a professional counselor. You can actually discuss with them. So this option should be provided to the adolescents rather than actually getting into arguments and outright restrictions. So the last one is emotional detachment. So we all know that like although like adolescents make a lot of friends, digital friends, there's kind of social isolation that happens with few adolescents. The only component that actually, when I went into the literature or when you actually look into clinical adolescents like population, when they are actually encountering emotional isolation, I think you need to probe into their like attachment styles as part of the history taking. So the attachment style is one aspect that you can actually look at because like there was a concept called this, I'm sure like Bowlby's attachment theory, we all know. So the opposite of this attachment is what we generally, technically we say like a detachment. So this detachment happens when there is so much of insecure attachment in the childhood. So we need to actually probe in the childhood attachment, as again was pointed out, the childhood insecure attachment will predispose them to a lot of actually emotional disturbance, loneliness, isolation, which can actually predispose them to other, of course, like we just learned, childhood adverse experiences and insecure attachment leading to substance abuse in future. So I think it is extremely important that like we need to probe into any child or adolescent coming with like emotional detachment as a concern. So there are a lot of actually models that can actually explain the emotional isolation or distance. One of them is, I'll just find it. One of them is when an adolescent starts viewing themselves about negatively, when there is an insecure attachment in the childhood, their perception about others also will be actually negatively skewed. And whenever their attachment with the parents itself is actually disturbed, this will disturb that attachment with the peers and the other people. So this is the reason many times like why, if at all emotional distancing or isolation happens, you need to explore the interaction pattern within the family as well as the attachment style with the family, which needs to be actually addressed. There are a lot of actually therapies which actually enhances and improves attachment. So again here, we also have to look at parents' attachment style and their own childhood. Okay. So these are all some of the challenging situations that I would like to pose. An adolescent demanding confidentiality of setting in sensitive information in clinical setting. So how would you actually go about? They are just sharing a sensitive information, but they're just saying that not to disclose to the parents. Does it affect the confidentiality? Disclosing information, what an adolescent is actually disclosing to us. So I brought this out is whenever medical students, particularly when the first year or like they come to us, the first thing that they say is, do not involve our parents. Do not actually disclose this to their parents. So like, again, we are actually down in an ethical dilemma of like what to reveal, what not to reveal. So what we generally, what I practice that we generally follow is, we'll make them actually call the parents, and then like actually we will provide information. We will tell them what we are actually going to tell. And that's the same information that we will actually tell in front of them. Okay. So the information that is provided to the parent is not all the information, but the information of the seriousness that the adolescent is actually going through some emotional distress. That will be actually highlighted to them. Online texting, social media requests to therapists by adolescents without awareness of parents. I think these are all again concerns whenever you are involving in digital media platform or telepsychiatry for actually counseling, particularly adolescents, if they actually reach out. We have come across somebody who is actually 16 years, but actually they told 18 years, and they started actually registering in the online platform. So it is very difficult to actually monitor whether they are young adults who are actually entering into consultation or not. So again, this was one of the concern which was raised when an actor's daughter actually completed suicide. This was one of the main issue that was actually brought in. What as therapists we can actually communicate, and what, particularly in the social media platform. Technology for family counseling, I think we need to have a real argument, because family is not an ideal setup for family therapy or family counseling for telepsychiatry. This is my opinion, but I think people can actually look into. The other one is that we found out is school dropout due to internet addiction. I think this is another area that we are finding it very difficult to deal when the school is not cooperating for, particularly if the adolescent doesn't turn up for school for 2 months, 3 months. And that's going to be very, very difficult. And we are also looking at a population, subset of population who are coming. Maybe they will be having, like, if at all diagnosis wise, some emerging personality traits, undiagnosed ADHD. Adolescents demanding parents to care for them lifelong without efforts. I won't want to go to school. Just because you gave birth to me, you better take care of me. Okay, so this is one sector of population, probably learning difficulty or undiagnosed ADHD, or suddenly they will stop going to school and we won't be able to, they'll be comfortably sitting and eating at home, and if you question them, they will throw tantrums and they'll say that, like, you have to take care of me, either write the property on my name and give it to me, I'll be comfortably happy dealing with them. Parents' awareness and co-participation in psychopathology, this is also one area we have come across in adolescence, where adolescent and the mother particularly will actually participate in mediating the psychopathology, and that will have an influence on, like, adolescent not recovering. Transparency in parent-child communication, how much is healthier? That is again one question for us to actually ponder. To summarize, I think it is important that we all need to be aware of the digital resources. Parenting is a dynamic process, learn, unlearn, and relearn. So it is important. Active engagement in communication are the key rules. Working in unison with the child's environment, not only with the school, but the peer group is very, very important. Privacy, mediate issues you have to mediate and work through. And conscious parenting and self-reflection will lead to a better emotional competence of the child and adolescents. Thank you so much.
It was a very wonderful presentation, Professor Raman. And you had discussed so many things. It was so elaborate and comprehensive. Any policy by Government of India on parenting, because we come across parents who had come from USA saying that they have a weekend program in community centers about how to do parenting. We have Anganwadis and other things, but does our government have, central government or state government have any policy on parenting?
Sir, I think there is one on digital parenting awareness. It is there in Internet Security Education and Awareness. It's called isea.gov.in. If you just Google www.isea I think there is some information on digital parenting awareness about digital control.
But
So
we do not have any policy per se.
policy as such we don't have, sir. This is just on technology and parenting. That's
It's a health education material.
That's also awareness material.
Any other government have policy on parenting for that matter?
So I'm not sure, sir.
Okay.
So excellent presentation, sir. One question. We are seeing patients in day in and out about the child having a own mobile phone, and it is their right to have that mobile. The child says that it's my right and it is mine. You cannot pluck from them. And the parent has a excessive turmoil and then land up into the hospital, and we practically don't have solutions for that, either in the form of pharmacology or non-pharmacological techniques also. So when we have to aim at primary prevention, then so we are going to the schools and colleges. So what generally advice we tell to the parents, because most of them are going to the schools. So teachers, parents, what advice we can tell, to what age they can get a mobile phone or electronic gadgets to the child?
Sir, actually, Indian Academy of Pediatrics as well as American Association of Psychiatrists, they have provided the screen time guidelines are available. But if you just go by that, I don't think so. Like we'll be able to follow that strictly. So ideally, like age-wise screen time, I think it is very difficult because even the school is practicing that. Like all the homeworks, they will have to actually send it through the mobile, and then the parents have to see it and make the child actually read certain materials from that. So I think one way we'll have to go to some traditional system for the school at least ask them to write in diary and give, and give some resources like which has printed material. I think parents can actually take some printed materials and actually make the child actually read. So those things I think parents can actually do it at home because most of them are affordable, and if at all they have a printer, I think when you allow the child to do it on their own, I think the child will say, I'm scrolling, I want to search material, resources and everything. Wherever possible, some simple printed materials is available. I think that will also actually help. That's one simple strategy that I could think of.
You said about some guidelines, right? By which association?
So one is Indian Academy of Pediatrics is there, sir. So other one is like American Psychiatric Association. They have also have put one.
IAP has a guidelines or advocacy?
Yes, sir. Guidelines are sir. And there is screen time recommendations are there, not guidelines. Screen time recommendations are there.
Any professional association had come up with advocacy on this particular issue?
Don't think so, sir. Because internet addiction, although it is becoming an issue affecting health, education sector, leading to dropouts, I think we still have not advocated much.
You mentioned well about that helicopter parenting and that lighthouse parenting, right?
Yes.
But you said something about hovering, right?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
The hovering is like the parent and the child will be actually sitting together, and the parent will like whatever the child is seeing, the parent will actually observe. Sir. The parent will observe whatever the child is actually seeing.
Already our parents are doing so much on that, right?
So they will ensure that like the child cannot see anything alone. If at all you are using a desktop or a laptop or any digital platform, I will be sitting next to you. It's not for academic purpose alone. Even if you are scrolling something, I will be sitting and seeing.
The floor is open for discussion.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, sir. I'm not asking sir, but I'm asking the Indian Psychiatric Society, as you are here, is there any possibility like restricting the games and all in as a country, as an organization? Is it possible? I'm requesting because we are discussing so much, but there is no solution at all. I'm a junior only, not so much of practice and all, but I have seen many children which I could not give any solution for that. So whether is it there any possibility, like you told no sir, in China they are telling they cannot use, and the madri, why can't Indian Psychiatric Society represent to the government regarding this? Because I feel it's only we are talking but we cannot give any solution.
Doctor, I will give you the answer. Indian Psychiatric Society is you and me. We cannot expect the speaker to do that.
Yes, sir. I want to.
This question need to be raised in Executive Council and General Body meeting.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So we cannot expect, no? We can continuously advocate for such things in forum. Anyhow, it's good, but you are not a junior, you are HOD of your particular department, right?
Like experiences, I told somebody may think, and I told sir. So I want this to ask because many parents are asking how to stop this. I cannot give any solution.
What we can do is we can do a small group or committee on this, and we have to discuss continuously. And probably we can take it to the Executive Council, which can be forwarded to General Body, that is annual General Body meeting, where resolutions can be passed and which can be passed to the government. Okay, this is how it works.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions? The organizer is very interested in terminating this session.
Not a question per se, but considering that we're all psychiatrists, I think the voice of the child also needs to come out.
Yes.
When we're talking about controlling gaming time or dealing with delinquency or difficult behaviors, I think a lot of the children who go through this essentially go through that because they don't feel liked, understood, or respected. Now, if we don't do that, and then we set limits like Sir was saying, if we restrict, it's only going to get worse. And I've also noticed a lot of these children get better as they find good peer groups as they grow up. Even if we do nothing, a big proportion of these children get better. A small proportion gets stuck. They might have more complex psychopathology. So maybe as psychiatrists, we don't need to be so scared. We have to do something. But if we can show the child that they are important, respected, and even just guide them through that period, let them game, let them not go to school. In fact, in my practice, I've seen that children, I don't force them to go back to school, end up going back to school. I don't think a child doesn't want to go to school. Even if he's sitting with the internet, he's sitting with guilt and fear that people are judging me. Once he notices he's not being judged, he feels safe, he or she, I think they end up going back to school. And I've seen these kids who get admitted, get treated, find it a little more harder to get back because there's a lot more stigma on them. Again, this is my perspective from the child side. And I think it was important to put that out as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you are correct. There are many issues involved here. But what he had said is something in general. There are a lot of variations in parenting style, personality involved with the parents, cultural values, and the family structure, the relationships within the family. So many issues are there. It is not a simple advice. The easily said is set rules. You monitor. You keep the desktop or mobile use in a hall. He had mentioned that. But there are some adolescents who will become a rebel when you keep the desktop on the hall. So he said also about there are children who start claiming about the rights even when they are 6 years. Yeah, first standard, second standard children talking about their rights. How healthy it is in a society where we are still developing. The rights concept are still developing. Generally, it is a parental attitude. That is, parents are dictating terms to the children in general, except in metropolitan, in which the children are becoming too activist and start claiming it is their right, both right, after seeing so many movies and other things. So there are a lot of issues. This has to be solved by a policy and advocacy and regular parenting sessions for parents who are having children between 4 to 8 years. Something need to be done on this. This requires a different strategy. Even though it is a physician's, psychiatrist interest, but the key for the solution is something at a different level. If no more questions, we can end this session. Thank you. We thank the organizers for providing such an opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for taking the time to share your expertise with us. We request the chairpersons to honor the speaker.
We would like to invite Dr. Venkatesh Kumar sir, consultant psychiatrist at Ahal Hospital, Coimbatore, to honor Dr. Arun Kumar sir. And we also like to invite Dr. Shanmugapriya ma'am, Associate Professor and Head of the Department, Ariyalur Medical College, to honor P.P. Kannan sir.
Thank you, sirs and ma'am. This concludes today's session. We thank you one and all for your active participation and active listening. We will start dinner at 7 p.m. at the lawn area, the place where we had lunch. We request you all to join us for music party and banquet.
Next, we have the IPS TN chapter Executive Council meeting in the additional hall nearby. We request all the Executive Council members and all the office bearers of IPS TN chapter to attend the meeting. Thank you, one and all.